Chapter 953. You better not follow Big Sister anymore, or else Big Sister won't be polite. Leah was somewhat disappointed that Qin Feng didn't come. She started to worry again, so she turned around and started to run away. Li Xiaojie was dumbfounded. He didn't know why this woman was running away. Could it be that she was playing hard to get? Or was there an even more dangerous trap waiting for him in front of her? Li Xiaojie was currently a level 6 evil cultivator, and his strength was comparable to a level 8 inner martial artist. From Lia's kick just now, Li Xiaojie could tell Lia's strength. No matter what, she was still a level 8 inner martial artist. Li Xiaojie didn't even have the confidence to defeat Lia. But why did this woman run? Lia's speed was so fast that she was about to fly, giving Lia another fright. Li Xiaojie was absent-minded for a moment, and realized that Lia had almost disappeared. Was this woman really running for her life? There must be something wrong with her. Boom! Li Xiaojie didn't care anymore. He leaped into the air, and struck out with his palm towards Lia's back. A thick black mist flew out, forming a huge palm pattern in the air. The speed of the black mist was even faster than Li Xiaojie's, and it shot towards Lia like a bullet. Ah! Bastard, you forced me to do this. Lia realized that she had really changed. Her reaction speed, strength and other aspects had all greatly improved. Lia didn't need to turn her head to feel the aura of death coming from behind her. When the aura was about to envelop her, Lia turned around and struck out with her palm. Boom! Lia's inner chi and Li Xiaojie's corpse aura collided in the air, causing a series of violent explosions. Lia felt the ground beneath her feet shake slightly. This huge movement and the destructive power caused Lia to scream in fright. The scream was so loud that Li Xiaojie's eardrums were about to burst. Li Xiaojie hurriedly retreated all the way, and only then did he manage to narrowly avoid the aftermath of the explosion. Looking at Lia, who was screaming nonstop in fright, Li Xiaojie was truly dumbfounded. You're the one who caused this commotion. What the hell are you shouting for? After shouting for a while, Lia suddenly stopped. Her pair of beautiful eyes that were filled with panic suddenly flashed with the light of surprise. Lia realized that she seemed to have suddenly turned into a superwoman. She felt that there was a little beast hiding in her body, as if she had an inexhaustible amount of strength and power. Lia looked at the lover's lock that had been torn off her neck, and suddenly thought of Qin Feng's words. If there's an emergency, immediately break this chain. Lia seemed to understand that this lover lock was obviously not a simple item. It was very likely that it was a very precious and rare spirit artifact, and the series of changes that had happened to his body was obviously related to the broken chain. Monster, how dare you follow me? Today, I will do justice on behalf of the heavens. After understanding the reason, Lia was not afraid at all. She believed that Qin Feng must have left her a very powerful treasure, and Lia was going to personally capture the people from the Verdant sect. With a tap of her feet, Lia flew out as light as a swallow. Her speed and the height of her jump caused Lia to cry out in surprise. Even though she was mentally prepared, she still felt that it was inconceivable. Li Xiaojie looked at Lia in a daze. He was almost turned into a lunatic by this woman. This woman was indeed sick. She was clearly a very powerful expert, yet she still wanted to pretend to be a rookie. Did she take Lousy for a retard? Do you really think Lousy can't see through your little tricks? Boom! Li Xiaojie struck out with his palms again, then turned around and ran. Two large black handprints appeared in the air, directly blocking Lia's path. However, Lia was not afraid at all, and her pretty face even revealed an excited expression. She had long dreamed of becoming a powerful martial artist one day, and now that her dream had come true, Lia felt that it was extremely fun. Bang! Bang! Lia's speed did not decrease, and she continued to strike out with her palms in midair. Her movements were completely different from Qin Feng's. Qin Feng's movements were concise, and every move he made was a killing move. Lia, on the other hand, was like a beautiful girl warrior. Before she waved her palm, she even made a few fancy movements, and even recited some lines from cartoons. Although his movements looked a little flowery, the hidden inner chi was surging violently. This was 80% of Qin Feng's strength. How could an ordinary person withstand it? Bang! 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 Li Xiaojie ran for his life, while Leah was like a dragonfly skimming the water. She floated in the air for a while, then landed on the ground, and jumped up again. Leah's jade-like hands continued to wave, and a series of loud sounds came from the ground. It felt like a special effect from a mythical movie, and behind Li Xiaojie, there were constantly rocks flying and the ground cracking, causing Leah to shout excitedly. Li Xiaojie was beaten to a sorry state. Some of the rocks bounced onto his body, piercing several small holes in his black robe. Li Xiaojie was completely infuriated. He had never been chased and beaten by a woman like this before. This was simply an insult to him. Tsk. Li Xiaojie suddenly let out a strange cry. It sounded like he was laughing, but it also felt like he was crying. Leah was so scared that she stopped. The sound of crying and laughing made Leah's hair stand on end, and goosebumps appeared all over her body. You monster, hurry up and surrender. Leah glared at Li Xiaojie with a cold expression. Bitch, I'll make you die a horrible death. Li Xiaojie suddenly moved. His speed was so fast that it made Leah's eyes blur. After a round of fighting, Li Xiaojie had already discovered some clues. He felt that Leah was really a novice at fighting. With a body full of inner qi, he could not even release a single killing move. The attacks that Leah had launched in front of him were all playful moves. Bang 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 bang. Leah panicked and started to randomly slap her surroundings. Leah was already unable to determine Li Xiaojie's current location. Seeing that the corpse aura was gradually surrounding him, Leah immediately became flustered and started to fight randomly without any order or order. Tsk. You really are a newbie. I really don't know how you broke through to your current realm. Fall for me. Li Xiaojie's voice suddenly spread out, and the entire black mist was filled with his creepy evil laughter. Leah was so scared that she broke out in cold sweat. She turned around and kicked again, but other than the sound of wind breaking, there was no sign of her kicking Li Xiaojie. Boom! A ball of black mist suddenly flew over and crashed into Leah's back. Leah was not prepared at all, and fell to the ground and rolled around. Bastard, you dare hit big sister. You're simply too despicable. Not only did Leah possess a strong amount of inner qi, her body's defense had also reached 80% of Qin Feng's strength. This palm had injured Leah, but it was not a serious injury. Leah jumped up and kicked the black mist a few more times. Bang bang bang. It was still the sound of wind breaking, and he did not kick Li Xiaojie at all. The surrounding black mist was too dense, and the corpse aura had the effect of interfering with one's mind. Leah's judgment was rapidly declining. Tsk. Bitch, let's see how long you can last. So what if you're at the inner 9 level? I'll torture you the same. Li Xiaojie's laughter echoed in the surroundings, purposely disrupting Leah's judgment. Leah felt the corpse aura enter her body, and the dizziness became even more intense. Monster, consider yourself lucky today. Don't let big sister bump into you again. Leah was not stupid. She knew that if she continued to waste time, she would definitely be finished. With a leap, Leah ran out of the black mist. Leah's speed was extremely fast, and her ears were filled with the whistling of the wind. However, Li Xiaojie did not let Leah go. The balls of black mist seemed to have grown eyes, and followed closely behind Leah. Halfway through, Leah's phone rang, and she quickly picked it up. Xiaoya, where are you? Why did you break the lover lock? The call was from Qin Feng. Leah was already running wildly, and the sound of the wind was whistling in her ears. However, the sound of the wind coming from the phone was even louder, and Leah suspected that Qin Feng was riding on the plane for a ride. Qin Feng did not step on the plane. He was currently stepping on the flaming golden eagle and rushing towards Zhongchuan City. Woo woo. Darling, I met someone from the Verdant sect. That guy can release corpse aura. I feel like I can't hold on any longer. Darling, quickly come and save me. As Leah ran, she pouted and acted coquettishly. Qin Feng immediately shouted, Don't fight with him, run quickly. Your strength can only last for half an hour. When Qin Feng finished speaking, Leah was immediately dumbfounded. His strength could only be maintained for half an hour? It seemed to have been almost half an hour since he broke the lover lock. Io! Leah, who was running, suddenly cried out in alarm. She realized that the little beast hidden in her body had disappeared, and her strength was also gone. Liya's speed was extremely fast just now, but now that she had tripped and fallen, she could not even stand up. Li Xiaojia had already caught up to Liya, but he did not immediately come up to capture her. "It's over, time's up," Liya shouted in despair in her heart. What made her even more desperate was that this fall had sent her phone flying, and she couldn't even find it now. Li Xiaojia observed his surroundings for a while, and realized that the inner qi on Liya's body had suddenly disappeared. How could such a strong and rich inner qi disappear just like that? Li Xiaojia was so depressed that he wanted to die. Even he, an evil cultivator, could not understand Liya's situation. This woman was even more ferocious than the evil cultivator. It was too strange. "What are you standing there for? Come and catch me." Liya seemed to have seen through Li Xiaojia's thoughts. She knew that she wouldn't be able to escape, so she pretended to be calm and scared Li Xiaojia. "Humph! Do you think I'm stupid? You must have dug a trap for me. Don't worry, I won't capture you myself. I'll first use the corpse aura to knock you out. Then it won't be too late to capture you." Li Xiaojia hesitated for a moment, but still did not dare to go up and capture him. He was afraid that the moment he got close to Liya, that woman would suddenly launch another sneak attack. Rumble! A ball of black mist pounced over, and in a short while, it surrounded Liya. Liya immediately got up and started running again. She wanted to stall for as much time as possible. She knew that Qin Feng had already come to save her. Chapter 954. It was still daytime in America. Qin Feng riding on the flaming golden eagle was very eye-catching. So he bought an invisibility cloak from the system, and put it on himself and the golden eagle. The effect of the invisibility cloak was the same as the invisible fighter. The wind whistled past his ears as the flaming golden eagle reached its maximum speed. It was as if every few minutes, the ground beneath his feet would change, and the sky would gradually turn dark. "Xiaoya, why aren't you saying anything?" Qin Feng had not hung up yet, and neither had Liya. However, there was no sound from the other side. Qin Feng shouted a few times, but there was no reply from Liya. A bad premonition surged in his heart, and Qin Feng's face was so cold that it was about to freeze. "Little pig, can you locate Liya?" Qin Feng asked. "Master, Liya has a lover lock produced by the system. The system can locate the location of the lover lock for free." "Very good, hurry up and locate it." Flaming Golden Eagle advanced at full speed. In an abandoned factory on the outskirts of Zhongchuan City, Liya slowly opened her eyes. Just as she woke up, Liya thought of being captured, and immediately started to struggle. "Bastard, you dare to capture Big Sister? Hurry up and let me go. Big Sister's boyfriend is already here. Just you wait to die." Liya quickly discovered her situation. Her hands and feet were tied up, and she was surrounded by an abandoned and dark factory. The strange black-robed man was standing right in front of her, and Liya struggled with all her might, but she could not break free from the bindings. TSK, your boyfriend? The brat who captured a few hundred people from the Lone Dragon Gang, and destroyed the Lone Dragon Gang with you? Very good, very good. I was just waiting to settle the score with him, and he came to die himself, saving me the trouble. Li Xiaojia laughed strangely, especially in the dark abandoned factory. His laughter was even more terrifying, scaring Liya so much that her delicate body trembled. Li Xiaojia suddenly stopped laughing, his eyes staring straight at Liya's full chest, flashing with an evil light. "Hey, you, what are you looking at? Do you believe that Big Sister will dig out your eyeballs and step on them? Let me tell you, Big Sister's boyfriend is very powerful. He can slap you to death with one hand." Liya noticed Li Xiaojia's vulgar gaze, causing her to shrink back in fright. Her entire body had shrunk to the corner, and there was no way out. "Is your boyfriend really that powerful? Then why isn't he here yet? Since he's so slow, we should find some fun to play with during this period of time. You're a pretty girl. I'll let you enjoy yourself to the heavens first. When your boyfriend comes later and sees us making love, won't he be very happy?" Li Xiaojia was one of the 4 young masters of Acropolis City. He used to be a playboy and loved to play with women. However, after he was killed by Qin Feng at the Amethyst Dragon Palace, and was saved by the Verdant sect, Li Xiaojie had been busy cultivating, and had no time to play with women. Now that there was a Hong Kong most beautiful miss in front of him for 3 consecutive years, Li Xiaojie was immediately interested. "Ah, you monster, scram. If you dare touch me, big sister will perish together with you." Looking at Li Xiaojie, who was walking over step by step, Leah struggled with all her might. Li Xiaojie was already standing in front of Leah, his gaze moving from Leah's 3-dimensional and exquisite face, all the way to her neck, chest, lower abdomen, long legs, and finally to her shoes. The fire in Li Xiaojie's stomach burned fiercely. He hadn't touched a woman for more than half a year. That strong desire made Li Xiaojie's eyes turn red, as if his entire body was about to ignite. "Beauty, don't worry. Big Brother was also a rich young master in the past. Big Brother knows all kinds of tricks. Big Brother is an old driver with wind essence oil. I will definitely let you fly." After Li Xiaojie finished looking at Leah, he started to take off his clothes. When he took off his shirt, Leah was so scared that she forgot to struggle. Li Xiaojie's skin was black and wrinkled, like a layer of dry and cracked black skin. As Li Xiaojie took off his clothes, the black skin on his upper body fell to the ground like snow. But what fell was black snow. Leah had forgotten that she was going to be violated. Was this man still human? Was this the evil cultivator of the Verdant sect? If he didn't want to be a good person, did he have to make himself into a monster? Li Xiaojie's body had an evil aura. Now that he had taken off his shirt, a strong corpse aura floated out, causing Leah to almost vomit. However, Li Xiaojie did not care about Leah's reaction. After taking off his shirt, he reached into his pants and started fumbling around. After a while, Li Xiaojie's excited expression dimmed down, and his eyes spewed out flames of anger. "Fuck. Qin Feng, Lousy will kill you. It's all your fault. It's all your fault that Lousy is like this. I want to skin you alive. I want to turn you into a walking corpse." Li Xiaojie originally wanted to violate Leah, but in the end, he suddenly touched his crotch and started cursing. Leah was truly dumbfounded, and when she heard that Li Xiaojie actually knew Qin Feng, she was even more dumbfounded. Seeing Li Xiaojie roaring and shouting crazily at the side, Leah did not dare to say a word. She was deeply afraid that Li Xiaojie would suddenly think of her and pounce on her to violate her. If that was the case, Leah might as well bite her tongue and commit suicide. "Get up, hurry up and fucking get up." Li Xiaojie tore off his pants and stood naked at the side, fiddling with his body. Leah took a glance and immediately closed her eyes in fright. She was about to die from fright. Was this man sick? Li Xiaojie was really sick. Ever since he had been replaced by Qin Feng with a pig's heart and dog's kidney, his body had been failing. Every time he saw a beautiful woman, he would have an impulsive reaction. But little Li Xiaojie did not have any reaction. Li Xiaojie did not have the mood to violate Leah right now. Even if he pounced on Leah and stripped her naked, he would not be able to stand up at the most crucial moment. Wouldn't Leah laugh at him to death? "Get up, if you don't get up, I'll cut you up." Li Xiaojie stood at the side and fiddled with it, his mouth still muttering about getting up. Leah had had enough. She did not want to stay with this lunatic Li Xiaojie for even a second. But Leah could not run away, so she could only close her eyes and not look around. Woof woof. After an unknown amount of time, Li Xiaojie still did not get up. Just as Li Xiaojie was about to give up on violating Leah, a wild dog suddenly ran in. This abandoned factory was probably the territory of the big wolf dog, and when the wild dog saw someone running in, it barked at Li Xiaojie. Li Xiaojie suddenly stopped what he was doing and looked at the wild dog standing in front of him naked. Li Xiaojie's dog kidney was changed, and he did not know if it was because of this, but the moment he saw the wild dog, the sleeping little Li Xiaojie suddenly stood up, and the raging fire in his stomach completely erupted. Boom! Li Xiaojie struck out with his palm, and a ball of black mist enveloped the wild dog. The wild dog that was barking at Li Xiaojie with its porcelain teeth suddenly became docile and laid on the ground without moving. Li Xiaojie's eyes shone with a green light, and with a big stride, he rushed to the side of the wild dog. He picked up the wild dog and looked at it, and was immediately extremely excited. Woof woof woof. Suddenly, the miserable cries of a wild dog came from the abandoned factory. That heart-wrenching sound scared Leah so much that she couldn't help but take a look. Seeing the scene in front of her, Leah almost fainted from fright. The battle between a man and a dog had completely overturned Leah's worldview. Leah wanted to escape, but her feet were tied up. She wanted to cover her ears, but her hands were tied up. The entire factory was filled with the continuous screams of wild dogs, and from time to time, Li Xiaojie's low growls could be heard. Leah was about to cry. She never thought that there would be such a disgusting person in this world. Not even letting a wild dog go? Just how hungry and thirsty were they? Alo! A cry came from the entrance of the abandoned factory. The sound was like the cry of an ancient bird. The flaming golden eagle spread its wings and landed steadily on the ground. The surrounding rubble and dust flew into the air, and the scene was extremely spectacular. Qin Feng had said not to let the golden eagle scream, but this big stupid bird kept screaming all the way. In the end, Qin Feng could not control it anymore. Just as he jumped down from the golden eagle, Qin Feng recalled it back into the system. Master, according to the system's senses, the lover lock is in this factory. The little pig's voice sounded in Qin Feng's mind. Just as Qin Feng walked to the door, he heard a burst of crazy dog barks coming from inside the room. He didn't know what kind of torture the dog had suffered, but why was it barking more miserably than a pig being slaughtered? Qin Feng's nerves immediately tensed up, because he heard another low growl from a man. 2 hours had passed since Leah was captured, and Qin Feng had lost contact with Leah for more than an hour. During this period of time, Li Xiaojie could have done a lot of things, and what worried Qin Feng the most was Leah's beauty. Hearing the man's low growl, Qin Feng's entire body emitted a strong killing intent, but the even more excited dog barks made Qin Feng puzzled. What the hell was going on? Xiaoya! Qin Feng didn't have time to think, and rushed into the factory. As soon as he entered the room, Qin Feng was shocked by the scene in front of him. It was the first time Qin Feng had seen an intense battle between a man and a dog. Li Xiaojie was also stunned. He looked at Zheng Shuai, who was standing at the door. Wasn't this Li Ye's wild man? Not long ago, Zheng Shuai had ruined Li Xiaojie's plans. Li Xiaojie had always wanted to kill Zheng Shuai. Now that Zheng Shuai was here, Li Xiaojie had no time to care about him. He was still twisting his body, as if he didn't want to stop. Qin Feng! Woo! Save me, that man is a pervert. Seeing that Qin Feng had really come, Leah was stunned for a while before she came back to her senses. Then she shouted excitedly at Qin Feng. Xiaoya, are you alright? Qin Feng discovered Leah, and immediately went over to untie her. The ropes on Leah's hands and feet were untied, and she threw herself into Qin Feng's embrace, crying loudly. She was really scared to death by Li Xiaojie's abnormality. Woo-woo! Qin Feng, help me teach that bastard a lesson. This kind of pervert shouldn't live. Chapter 955. After a while, Li Xiaojie finally came back to his senses. He realized that Zheng Shuai didn't look like Qin Feng at all. Who are you? Li Xiaojie's face was ferocious. He didn't care that he was naked. He kicked the wild dog away and glared at Qin Feng. The wild dog slammed into the wall. His head burst open and he died. Leah shrieked in fear at this cruel scene. She covered her eyes and didn't dare to watch. Qin Feng pushed Leah behind him and looked into Li Xiaojie's cold eyes. He said word by word, Li Xiaojie, we've been enemies for a long time. It's time to put an end to it. Li Xiaojie's vitality shocked Qin Feng. 8 months ago, Qin Feng pierced Li Xiaojie's heart with his spear in the Amethyst Dragon Palace. A few months later, Qin Feng witnessed Li Xiaojie's resurrection at Heping Town's Feng Yunfan City. Qin Feng dissected Li Xiaojie twice. Not only did Li Xiaojie not die, but he also became a monster, and his strength increased greatly later. Li Xiaojie escaped during the Elixir Conference. This time, Qin Feng would not let Li Xiaojie leave alive. Li Xiaojie was stunned for a long time. Suddenly he came back to his senses. His eyes were bloodshot, and he looked like he wanted to swallow Qin Feng alive. After the battle with the wild dog, Li Xiaojie calmed down. He was disgusted by his actions just now. Li Xiaojia went from being a hedonistic young master to being neither a human nor a ghost. He didn't want this to happen, and Li Xiaojia blamed all of this on Qin Feng. If it wasn't for Qin Feng, Li Xiaojia felt that he wouldn't have become like this. He would still be a hedonistic young master, hugging a group of superstars and trying out all sorts of new and interesting things. Qin Feng? Are you Qin Feng? Why did you change your appearance? Are you really Qin Feng? Li Xiaojia was going crazy. I pierced your heart with my spear in the Amethyst Dragon Palace. I dissected you twice in Feng Yunfun City. I killed your master, Ghostface Mountain, and let you escape during the Elixir Conference. Tell me, am I Qin Feng? Leah was dumbfounded when she heard this. She never thought that Qin Feng would really be related to that perverted man, and that it was an irreconcilable hatred. Hee, it's Qin Feng. You're really Qin Feng. You've come just in time. I want you to become like me, and have a taste of being neither human nor ghost. Li Xiaojia suddenly let out a strange laugh. Then, a majestic corpse qi gushed out from his body. The black mist instantly enveloped Qin Feng and Leah. With Qin Feng's stage 9 inner qi, the corpse qi could no longer corrode Qin Feng's body. However, Leah was just an ordinary human being. Buzz! A strange energy wave spread out. A long sword shining with a holy white light appeared in Qin Feng's hand. More than half of the black fog that enveloped the surroundings dissipated, and the original darkness was once again illuminated by the angel's sword. Li Xiaojia seemed to be very afraid of the angel's sword, and hurriedly retreated dozens of meters away in fright. However, his body was still surging with corpse energy, constantly filling up the dissipated black fog by the angel's sword. Xiaoya, hold the angel's sword and stand here. I'll deal with that pervert. Qin Feng tossed the angel's sword to Leah. The corpse qi around Leah instantly dispersed, and it could no longer approach Leah's body. Leah felt her head was clear again. The dizziness and nausea had also disappeared, and the air around her seemed to have become fresher. She looked at the sword in her hand and was shocked. Qin Feng really has a lot of treasures. Rumble! Qin Feng lunged at Li Xiaojia with both of his fists. The sound of thunder and tiger's roar came from the factory. The special thunder tiger fists were mighty and mighty. When Qin Feng's fist landed, a few large cracks appeared on the ground. Shock flashed in Li Xiaojia's eyes. Qin Feng's strength had increased again. Even a heretic like Li Xiaojia found it hard to believe that Qin Feng's strength had increased again. Dark Corpse Burning Palm. In a moment of desperation, Li Xiaojia hurriedly launched 2 palm strikes. This move was taught to Li Xiaojia by Ghostface Mountain Man. 2 dense black fireballs shot towards Qin Feng. However, before they could even touch his body, they were shattered by the Thunder Tiger fists. Even the black mist that covered the sky and covered the earth quickly dissipated. Bang! Both fists landed, followed by a crisp sound. The spirit snake whip in Qin Feng's hand flickered with a blue light. Not long ago, Qin Feng had used the 10,000 Treasures Pavilion to upgrade all the orange-grade spirit weapons to blue-grade spirit weapons. Now the spirit snake whip was even more powerful. Several whip shadows came down densely, and Li Xiaojia once again struck out with his palm. However, Li Xiaojia's strength was much weaker than Qin Feng's, and his corpse qi was quickly engulfed by the blue whip shadows. In the end, it struck Li Xiaojia's chest. Puff! Li Xiaojia was like a kite with its string cut. He flew through the air and spat out a large mouthful of black blood. You dared to kidnap my people? Today I'll send you to hell. Qin Feng already had enmity with Li Xiaojia. With a casual slap, a dense fireball flew out and instantly enveloped the ground where Li Xiaojia was. However, Li Xiaojia's scream did not come from the fireball. He dodged to the side and arrived at the side of the wild dog that had fallen to death. Under Qin Feng and Lia's astonished gazes, Li Xiaojia picked up the wild dog that had been dead for a long time. He pierced his palm through the wild dog's stomach and dug out all the internal organs. These internal organs were already lifeless, and their color had already turned black and dry. However, Li Xiaojia liked these organs very much. He placed them on his nose and sniffed them a few times, then opened his mouth and ate them all. A stench wafted through the factory. Leah was so scared that she almost fainted. She was completely disgusted by Li Xiaojie today. How could there be such a perverted man in this world? Even Qin Feng was terrified. He had long heard that the verdant sect was an evil sect, and that the disciples' cultivation methods were extremely cruel and disgusting. Seeing it today, it was even more terrifying than Qin Feng had imagined. Qin Feng and Li Yu were extremely disgusted, but Li Xiaojie had an expression of extreme enjoyment. He did not directly swallow the organs, but chewed them in his mouth as if they were delicious. After eating, he even licked the black blood on his fingers and looked at Qin Feng with a playful smile. Burp. Li Xiaojie burped. He could smell the stench even from a distance away. Li Yu could not take it anymore. She grabbed the angel's sword and squatted on the ground, vomiting. Qin Feng was also extremely disgusted. He waved the spirit snake whip and lashed out. Crack. Crack. As if thunder and lightning had sounded. Dozens of whip shadows followed the sound and instantly surrounded Li Xiaojie. However, Li Xiaojie was not afraid at all. The smile on his face became even brighter as he suddenly struck out with his palm. An aura that seemed to be able to topple mountains and overturn the seas burst out. The whip shadows suddenly disappeared, and a thick black fog that was like a rolling cloud instantly filled the entire factory. Qin Feng, no matter how powerful you are, today is the day you die. Li Xiaojie suddenly became stronger. This guy had eaten a meal of corpse qi, and his organs exploded. Fortunately, Li Yu had the protection of the angel's sword, and everything within a meter of her was bright. However, Qin Feng was drowned in the surging corpse aura. It was difficult for him to even open his eyes, let alone determine Li Xiaojie's location. Li Xiaojie continued to run at an extremely fast speed, like a ghost. He was looking for an opportunity to make his move. After running for an unknown period of time, he suddenly appeared behind Qin Feng and struck out with his palm. Boom! The thick black fog condensed into a black fireball and instantly engulfed Qin Feng's location. Li Yu screamed in fright and rushed over to help with the angel's sword. When she arrived at Qin Feng's location, the surrounding black fog started to dissipate, and the angel's sword emitted a holy light, illuminating the surroundings. Li Yu and Li Xiaojie were both startled. Qin Feng was not there at all. A gust of wind appeared behind Li Xiaojie, causing his expression to change drastically. He did not even have the chance to react before his entire body was sent flying. Puff! Li Xiaojie spat out another few mouthfuls of black blood as he directly sank into the hard wall. There were no more corpses in the huge factory for Li Xiaojie to replenish his energy. He was completely at his wit's end. Tsk tisk. You evil cultivators are really unscrupulous in order to break through. You even eat corpses, you're simply insane. The spirit snake whip in Qin Feng's hand had turned into a spirit rush sword, emitting a faint blue light. Li Xiaojie coughed and couldn't even speak. He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. It was not Li Xiaojie's idea to use animal corpses to replenish his energy. Even the verdant sect had never done this before. The verdant sect was the #1 evil cultivator sect in China. Their main method of cultivation was to use human organs to cultivate. Ever since Qin Feng gave Li Xiaojie a pig's heart and dog's kidney at Fengyin Fun City, the verdant sect discovered a new shortcut. It turned out that they could use animal organs to achieve a breakthrough, and it was even faster. Moreover, animals could be bred in large quantities, but humans were not so easy to obtain. Therefore, the verdant sect used Li Xiaojie as their main experimental subject and began to cultivate him. Currently, Li Xiaojie was an omnivore who ate both humans and animals. Ahem. Qin Feng, do you really dare to kill me? I'm the verdant sect's disciple. If you kill me, the verdant sect will not rest until you're dead. Li Xiaojie was severely injured and had no way to resist. All he could do was to threaten Qin Feng. How could Qin Feng be scared? He was a man who could kill people. You don't have to worry about that. After I'm done with you, I'll find some time to eradicate the verdant sect's base. You freaks who are neither human nor ghost will only bring disaster to this world. Qin Feng wasn't afraid of the verdant sect at all. Moreover, even if he didn't kill Li Xiaojie, the verdant sect wouldn't let Qin Feng go. Rumble! Qin Feng raised his hand, and a ball of destructive fire shot out. In the next moment, Li Xiaojie was engulfed in flames. He didn't even have time to scream before he was engulfed by the flames and disappeared from the world. Li Xiaojie was completely dead. Not even his ashes were left. This time, Qin Feng didn't have to worry about Li Xiaojie coming back to life. If Li Xiaojie really came back to life, Qin Feng would be scared to death. Qin Feng, are you alright? Li heaved a sigh of relief when she saw the flames had dissipated and Li Xiaojie was gone. She hastily ran to check on Qin Feng's injuries. Chapter 956. Li Xiaojie had finally died, and Qin Feng had one less worry in his heart. The abandoned factory still had a foul smell, but Qin Feng and Li had already walked out. The evening breeze on the plains of the suburbs blew on their faces like fresh air, making them feel as if they had crawled out of a sewer. Li was still lying in Qin Feng's embrace, unwilling to come out, because Qin Feng's embrace gave her a sense of security. Li's heart was filled with warmth. She couldn't even remember how many times Qin Feng had saved her from dire straits. Last time, Qin Feng rushed over from Hong Kong, and this time, Qin Feng seemed to have gone to the United States. How did Qin Feng rush back? Qin Feng, did you really come back on a rocket? Li suddenly woke up. Qin Feng took off the lever lock from Li's neck and was about to throw it away when Li snatched it back. What are you doing? This thing can only be used once. It's useless once it's broken, Qin Feng explained. However, Li still held onto the lever lock tightly in her hands and pouted. Then I still want to keep it. This is something you gave me, and it even saved my life. Oh right, is this a martial artist's spirit weapon? I just became a beautiful girl warrior. Qin Feng chuckled as he rubbed Li's jade back. You can say that. When you break the lever lock, you will have 80% of my power for half an hour. Li cried out in alarm. She knew that Qin Feng was one of the 9 dragons of China, so he was at least at the inner 9th level. No wonder he was so powerful at that time. I'll put this on for you. Although it's not as powerful as the lever lock, it can still protect you a few times. With a wave of his hand, Qin Feng bought a defensive necklace from the system. The necklace was strung together by ruby-like beads, and when worn on Li's fair neck, it was extremely dazzling. Li held onto the defensive necklace and couldn't bear to part with it. She felt that Qin Feng was really good to her. These spirit weapons were quite precious, but Qin Feng gave them to her without any hesitation. Xiaoya, you asked me how I came here. Do you want to see my mount? Qin Feng chuckled as he looked at Li. Great. You didn't ride the divine eagle here, did you? Just as Li was fantasizing, she suddenly heard a burst of bird cries. The sound was so loud that it almost broke Li's eardrums. Holy shit. No way, he really came here on the divine condor. No, it doesn't look like an eagle. Is it a phoenix? Li was stunned by the incomparably huge flaming golden condor in front of her. The golden condor's entire body was golden and bright, illuminating the surrounding darkness. Its feathers rippled in the wind like burning flames. This is a flaming golden falcon, a little pet of mine. Do you want to sit on it and feel it? Qin Feng said that this was a little pet, but Li did not agree at all. This little pet was even bigger than a house. Li was still in a daze when he realized that he was already riding on the flaming golden eagle. It turned out that this phoenix did not have any flames on its body, and its feathers were still very soft to the touch. Li's courage gradually grew, and she started to touch the golden eagle's body. The golden eagle's back was extremely big, and Li was fine even after running around on it. Ah, fly, fly. I'm actually flying. The flaming golden eagle rushed into the clouds. Qin Feng used the invisibility cloak to cover the golden eagle, so he was not afraid of being exposed. Li watched as the ground beneath her feet became smaller and smaller. The huge factory was now the size of an ant. This feeling was too magical, 10,000 times better than sitting on a plane. After messing around for a while, Li was tired from running and came back to sit beside Qin Feng. The wind was howling all around, and Li was shivering a little. Qin Feng hugged Li in his embrace, and from time to time, he would touch Li's shoulder. Xiaoya, have you heard of the saying 1,000 miles in a day? Qin Feng suddenly asked in all seriousness. Leah looked at Qin Feng foolishly. I've heard of it. We can be considered to be moving 1,000 miles in a day right now. Qin Feng shook his head. Not yet 1,000 miles, not even a day. Leah was confused, her eyes rolled back and forth. Suddenly her face turned red, and she bashfully pounded Qin Feng's chest. Scoundrel, you're never serious. Qin Feng let Leah hit him. It felt like a massage. Leah acted coquettishly for a while, then suddenly thought of the scene of Li Xiaojia fighting the wild dog in the factory, and Leah's face instantly turned even redder. Qin Feng was just joking around. He did not expect Leah's red lips to suddenly press against him. Just as Qin Feng was about to speak, Leah spoke first. You're not allowed to say it. Lie down obediently. This was Leah's first time. She originally didn't know anything, but she had to pretend to be very powerful and take the initiative. Qin Feng followed Leah and laid comfortably on the back of the golden eagle. Leah struggled for a long time but still failed. In the end, it was Qin Feng who pressed down on Leah's shoulder and successfully broke through. As a supreme playboy, Qin Feng had tried all sorts of places and scenes. Some were on the car, some were on the fire dragon horse, some were in the room, the balcony, the sofa, the coffee table, and the bathroom. However, this was Qin Feng's first time trying to fly in the sky. This was truly 1,000 miles in a day. The cries of the flaming golden eagle could be heard continuously in the sky, and the intelligence agencies in all parts of China exploded. Not long ago, a flame ship that was suspected to have come from outer space had appeared in Hong Kong, and now, a strange sound wave had appeared. Qin Feng and Leah still did not know that their battle had caused a sensation in China. After the two of them were done, Qin Feng let the golden eagle land and kept this stupid bird that did not know how to keep a low profile back into the system. This was the first time Leah had become a woman, and she could not leave Qin Feng at all. Her soft and delicate body leaned against Qin Feng's embrace, wishing that time would stop at this moment and stay with Qin Feng forever. Xiaoya, I'll send you back. After that, I also have to return to America. I still have a Dragon Gate mission to complete. When I'm done, I'll come back to see you. Qin Feng comforted Leah with a few words. Although Leah was unwilling to let Qin Feng leave, she was still a rather rational woman. After sending Leah back to the villa, Qin Feng rode the flaming golden eagle back to America. After traveling back and forth, and the duration of the battle, it was already dark by the time Qin Feng returned to America. When Qin Feng arrived at the filming location, he found that the beauties and the director had already left. The long-awaited bed scene was ruined again. Qin Feng rushed back to Star Hotel. Rao Sherman and the other ladies were in Qin Feng's suite, watching TV in the living room. Qin Feng, you're back. Zhang Kuku was the first to rush up to Qin Feng. She threw herself into Qin Feng's arms and clung onto him like a koala. Qin Feng, are you all right? The other beauties gathered around Qin Feng and looked at him worriedly. Qin Feng forcefully pulled Zhang Kuku down from his body and smiled at everyone. I'm fine. Have you guys eaten yet? Let's go and have dinner together. Qin Feng guessed that the beauties must have not eaten yet. How could they be in the mood to eat when he was not back? Seeing that Qin Feng had returned safely, the ladies were relieved. Everyone went to the hotel to have dinner, and the atmosphere was very lively. After dinner, Qin Feng went back to his room. It was getting late, so Ma Xinxin and Han Ying went back to their rooms to rest. Just as Qin Feng laid down on the sofa, Yan Wushuang's voice sounded in his mind. Qin Feng, there's news from America. Qin Feng hastily sat up straight and asked, what's the plan? The high-ranking officials in America were furious after they learned about the William family's plan. The president said that he will dispatch the Blood Clan to help you complete the mission, said Yan Wushuang. Blood Clan? Could it be that they really exist on Earth? Qin Feng was stunned. He used to watch movies about vampires and werewolves in America. He did not expect that the Blood Clan still existed on Earth after the development of society. The Blood Clan does exist, and it has existed since the beginning of history. However, this is a top secret of the country. Even the common people in America don't know about the existence of the Blood Clan. It's just like how many people in China don't know about the existence of ancient martial artists. This is a protective measure taken by the government to prevent the public from panicking. Qin Feng had learned about the Blood Clan from the TV. However, the TV was somewhat fictitious. Yen Wuxia explained the situation of the Blood Clan to Qin Feng in detail. After all, Qin Feng would be joining the Blood Clan to deal with the William family in a few days. The Blood Clan is a clan of vampires. They drink blood to survive. The Blood Clan is in an awkward position in history. They are neither gods nor demons, and they are not humans. The Blood Clan is a mysterious clan. They look cold, noble, and elegant. They possess strength that ordinary people can't reach. They have pale skin and are nocturnal. Yin Wuxia explained in detail. Qin Feng felt a chill down his spine as he listened. He could not help but think of Li Xiaojia, whom he had just killed in Zhongchuan City. Why did the Blood Clan resemble the evil cultivators in China? Leader Yen, why did the American government arrange a group of vampires to complete the mission with me? What if they suddenly become hungry during the mission? They will eat me alive. Qin Feng felt depressed. He had waited for so long for reinforcements, but it was a group of crazy vampires. Yen Wuxia giggled. What are you talking about? The vampires have long been trained by the government, and now they only drink animal blood, not human blood. Qin Feng was relieved. It was not a problem for them not to drink human blood. Then when should I act? The Blood Clan is ready, and can act at any time. The 12 Peaks want us to act as soon as possible. Otherwise, it will be difficult to deal with the William family when they cultivate a level 6 Arcanist. Yin Wuxia sounded worried. All right, I will look for Prince William tomorrow and infiltrate their base. Qin Feng also wanted to complete the mission as soon as possible. There was not a single level 6 Arcanist in the William family. They might be able to deal with them, but who knew how powerful they would be after they cultivate a batch of level 6 Arcanists? Just as Qin Feng was about to hang up, Yin Wuxia said in a remorseful tone. Qin Feng, I'm sorry. I applied to the 12 Peaks to help you, but they did not agree. They think the fewer people on this mission the better. Otherwise we will be exposed. That's good. I will be worried if you come, Qin Feng said. Chapter 957. The day of the Martial Arts Circle Convention drew closer. More and more outer martial artists came out of the mountains and entered the bustling city. These people usually stayed in the deep mountains and forests to train. Now that they entered the city, they would lose themselves at any moment. Most of the people who came out of the mountains went to Devil Beast Mountain. This was because Devil Beast Mountain had an abundance of spiritual herbs and spiritual plants. Everyone wanted to break through their cultivation before the Martial Arts Circle Convention began. Devil Beast Mountain and Hero City faced each other across the river. Moreover, they built a bridge over the river so they could enter and exit the city. Now Hero City entered the eyes of the outer martial artists. Not only did the herbal sect discover Hero City's excellent location, but the outer martial artists also thought highly of Hero City. Martial Uncle Yuan Zhen. That castle is located in a treasured land with rich spiritual energy. It's surrounded by mountains on both sides, and it faces Devil Beast Mountain across the river. It's the best place to build a sect. A young monk dressed in a long gray cloth said to the old monk beside him. If Yuan Zhen had been arrogant and hot-tempered in the past, he would have immediately led the Shaolin disciples out of the mountains to occupy Hero City. However, after the disturbance in the martial arts circle, Yuan Zhen kept a low profile. He had witnessed the crouching tigers and hidden dragons of China. When he was beaten up by the young Qin Feng, Yuan Zhen didn't dare to be arrogant anymore. He was afraid that another young brat would appear and defeat all the Shaolin disciples. It's indeed a treasured land, but there's no hurry to seize it. Yuan Zhen glanced at the dozen or so disciples around him. These people were going to participate in the martial arts circle convention. Actually, Yuan Zhen had another concern. Not only was Shaolin Temple eyeing Hero City, but the dozens of outer martial arts sects were also eyeing Hero City. This was especially so for the herbal sect. Their sect master, Bai Yufei, had recently mobilized a large number of disciples to Hero City. It was obvious that he was going to attack Hero City. Who would be so bored as to interfere? He's here. Bai Yufei is here. It's really the herbal sect master Bai Yufei. His aura is so strange. Why can't I feel it? It can't be. Did Bai Yufei break through to the true energy stage? Only true qi stage experts can completely suppress their true qi to the level of an ordinary person. Some of the foreign martial artists who passed by Hero City stopped. Not too far away, a group of people dressed in robes made of white leaves walked over. There were more than 30 of them, and all of them held weapons in their hands. They were dressed like ancient people, and if they walked down the street, they would think that they were filming a historical drama. At the very front of the crowd was a man of unknown age. The man was in high spirits. His long hair was tied behind his head, fluttering in the wind. Both sides of his temples were long, and he held a slender sword in his hand. He looked just like Morong Fu from the demigods and semi-devils. Who is it? This is the holy land of Hero City, not Hengdian Studios. Bai Yufei had just walked to the entrance of Hero City when he was stopped by the phone group's guards. I'm not here to film. I want to see your city lord. A hint of disdain flashed across Bai Yufei's eyes. He felt that speaking to these commoners from the phone group was degrading his status as the medicine sect master. You can't see the city lord just because you want to. Hurry up and leave. The people from the phone group were also impatient. Young Master Qin wasn't in Hero City, and even if he was, not everyone could see young Master Qin. A hint of killing intent flashed across Bai Yufei's eyes. White Cloud, who was standing next to him, pointed at the phone group's guards and yelled, "Stinking brat! Hurry up and call your city lord out, or else you'll lose your life." A strong man from the phone group was stunned. He looked at White Cloud and said, I remember now. You guys were the ones who were beaten away a few days ago. Now you're here to cause trouble again? Do you think the people from Hero City are easy to bully?" The phone group's guard recognized White Cloud. White Cloud was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Saying that he was beaten away last time in front of so many people was a slap in the face. The people from the phone group learned their lesson this time. They knew that they weren't the ones who beat away White Cloud and the others last time. A fairy suddenly appeared and saved everyone. Seeing that these people were here to cause trouble again, one of the phone group's guards immediately ran to the side to call Huang Jinghua. Bai Yufei didn't even bother with the guard who made the call. He waved his hand and signaled for White Cloud to leave. "You guys, my identity is a little special. In the eyes of mortals like you, I'm a god. I really like this piece of land. Tell your city lord to come out and meet me. I want to take over this land. In the future, you guys will be outer disciples of the herbal sect. I can teach you martial arts and make you immortal." Bai Yufei saw that the people from the phone group were all commoners. He thought that the people living in Hero City were all commoners. Bai Yufei wanted to use the conditions of becoming a martial artist to entice these people. Then he would easily take over Hero City. He wanted these people to work hard for him in the future and continue to help him manage Hero City. Bai Yufei's idea was very good. It was an excellent plan. However, the plan was wrong from the start. He had underestimated the power of Hero City. Your identity is special? You say you're a god? I think you're more like a lunatic. The people from the phone group were about to be amused to death by Bai Yufei. Was there something wrong with the people who came recently? Each of them was dressed strangely and spoke like they were either gods or immortals. When did so many lunatics appear in Wuxia? Could it be that some mental hospital closed down? Bai Yufei was so angry that the hair on his temples became crooked. As the head of the alchemy sect in the outer martial arts world, he was usually able to summon wind and rain. Everyone gave him some face, but in the end, he was scolded by a group of commoners. The sword in Bai Yufei's hand was about to be unsheathed at any time. Who dares to cause trouble in Hero City? Before Bai Yufei could make a move, an angry shout was heard. Huang Jinghua, Lu Jia, and Yunzhe rushed over with a large group of Hong sect disciples. Ever since someone came to cause trouble in Hero City, Lu Jia and Yunzhe had been guarding here every day, specifically waiting for the people from the alchemy sect to come. Who are you guys? Bai Yufei's expression changed slightly. He realized that Yunzhe and the other two had inner chi fluctuations on their bodies. Furthermore, the three of them were not weak. We're from Hero City. Seeing that the other party was armed, Yunzhe pulled out the fire rod from his waist and looked at Bai Yufei. Pretty boy, hurry up and get your people out of here. Otherwise, I won't be polite anymore. Lu Jie carried the overlord slash and stood at the side with a dark expression like Guan Yu. Bai Yufei's eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. He gave White Cloud a look. White Cloud had been suppressing his anger for a long time. The aura of an early stage 9 inner chi surged in all directions, scaring Huang Jinghua and the other two. Rumble. As if a muffled thunder had struck, the surroundings were enveloped by invisible inner chi. The members of the phone group directly fell to the ground and could not even breathe. Yunzhe and the other two stood in a triangle and released the aura in their bodies to resist. However, the three of them combined couldn't block White Cloud's aura. Fuck! How strong is this person? Lu Jie broke out in a cold sweat. Yunzhe gritted his teeth and forced himself not to speak. Huang Jinghua was currently at stage 7 inner chi and was the strongest among the three. Even he couldn't withstand White Cloud's aura. It's definitely the aura of a stage 9 inner chi. This time we're in big trouble. Both sides did not fight, but they had already carried out a secret duel. Huang Jinghua's side was obviously inferior to the Dan Grandmaster. Moreover, the Dan Grandmaster only sent out White Cloud. Bai Yufei, who was the strongest among them, did not even bother to make a move. Bai Yufei gave White Cloud a look, and White Cloud suddenly stopped. Yunzhe and the others panted heavily. Their breathing was a little rapid. The members of the phone group were even more suffocated. They panted heavily, and three of them fainted due to the lack of oxygen. The other members of the phone group quickly took them away for treatment. I didn't expect you to have a stage 7 inner chi martial artist here. Bai Yufei sneered and looked at Huang Jinghua. Huang Jinghua and the other two lost their confidence. Now that Qin Feng was not here, they were no match for these people. The atmosphere instantly became tense, and the temperature plummeted as if it was about to freeze. At this moment, a delicate voice was heard. A beautiful figure floated in the air, followed by a blood-red whip that struck down at Bai Yufei. Lu Jie and the other two were scared to death. The person who came was Hua Yan, one of young Master Qin's women. Why did this girl attack them without asking about the situation? Rumble. When the blood-red whip was about to fall, a ball of flame suddenly appeared. Many disciples of the alchemy faction cried out in shock. They were clearly frightened by this scene. Only Bai Yufei and White Cloud, who were standing at the very front, did not move at all. Their expressions did not change at all. Bai Yufei glanced at White Cloud. White Cloud waved its hand, and an orange sword light flew out. Sister Hua, be careful. Lu Jie leaped up and stood in front of Hua Yin to protect her. The flaming whip was cut in half by the sword ray, and it fell to the ground far away and dissipated. The sword ray did not stop there. It went straight for Hua Yin. Hua Yin was in the air, and there was no room for her to dodge. Lu Jie blocked the sword ray for her. Puffed! The sound of skin being cut rang out. Lu Jie had already used his inner chi to protect his body, but the moment his inner chi met the sword ray, it was destroyed. The clothes on his upper body were torn apart, and his white fat body was covered with cuts. Blood spurted everywhere, and he fell heavily to the ground. Lu Jie, are you alright? Yunzhe quickly ran to check on Lu Jie's injuries. Lu Jie's injuries were not light, but fortunately, his life was not in danger. Hua Yin had already landed on the ground. She looked at Lu Jie on the ground, and her eyes were bloodshot. Hua Yin also came to check on the situation in Hero City. When she arrived, she found out that the troublemakers were from the Pill faction. The Pill faction had killed hundreds of people from the Hua family, and Hua Yin instantly went crazy. Wild dogs of the Pill faction, I'll kill you all. Hua Yin leaped up again, and the blood shadow whip lashed out crazily. There was raging fire, and there was ice. The scene was like two worlds of ice and fire. This time, White Cloud and Bai Yufei's eyes flashed with light. She's actually a dual attribute demonic cultivator. This girl is not bad. If we capture her back to the Pill faction and train her in alchemy, she will definitely be a genius in alchemy. Bai Yufei seemed to be talking to himself, But White Cloud had already flown out to catch Hua Yan. Chapter 958. Sister Hua, be careful. Hua Yan was a stage 6 demon cultivator, which was equivalent to a stage 7 inner chi martial artist. However, Hua Yan could not withstand a single blow from White Cloud, who was at the early stage of stage 9 inner chi. Huang Jinghua roared angrily as White Cloud was about to grab Hua Yan's shoulder. He threw dozens of darts at White Cloud and leaped forward. Humph. It's just a small trick. Fall. White Cloud swatted the darts at Hua Yan. His inner chi surged in all directions and deflected the darts. Hua Yan seized the opportunity and whipped White Cloud a few more times. White Cloud swatted at Hua Yan again and somersaulted backward. Rumble. Hua Yan and Huang Jinghua were sent flying in the air. The dozens of darts hit Huang Jinghua's body, piercing several bloody holes in his arms and thighs. Hua Yan fared better. She was sent flying by a powerful inner chi, and was caught by Ren Xiaoyao when she landed on the ground. Zhao Lingxian, Lin Bei by Qing Liu Chun, the Su sisters, and Lu Wenjing were all here. The women stood in a row angrily as they made their moves. They looked as if they were ready to fight the medicine sex group at any time. Ren Xiaoyao handed Hua Yan over to Yun Xiao and leapt in front of the women. Her peerlessly beautiful face was filled with difficulty as her brows knitted together, as if she was facing a great enemy. Ren Xiaoyao and Hua Yan were the most powerful among the girls. Ren Xiaoyao's stage 7 inner chi was on par with Hua Yan, but Hua Yan was sent flying by Ren Xiaoyao's palm. Lin Bei, who was only at stage 2 inner chi, was nothing more than cannon fodder in this battle. Sisters, stand down. These people are too powerful. You're no match for them. Ren Xiaoyao was expelled from the Ren family. They forced her to live in Hero City every day. If she didn't sleep with Qin Feng, she wouldn't be able to step into the Ren family. Xiaoyao, you don't need to say any more. It's fine for us sisters to bicker, but when enemies invade, we must work together to protect our home. Zhao Lingxian's ethereal voice rang out. Her tone was very determined. Yes, we will not retreat. This is our home. Lin Bei, who had always been weak, had a determined look on her face. The other women expressed their opinions as well. Of course, they could tell that the other party was powerful. But Qin Feng had left Hero City for everyone. Now that Qin Feng was gone, as the mistresses of Hero City, they had to protect their home with their lives. Shock flashed through Ren Xiaoyao's eyes. She finally understood why Qin Feng liked these women. These women were indeed worthy of Qin Feng's heavy responsibility and his life to give them happiness. Ren Xiaoyao didn't try to persuade anyone. She held her waning moon sword and stood at the front. She was now everyone's pillar of support. Sisters, go back quickly. The battlefield belongs to the men. As long as we don't die, we don't need you to fight. Yunzhe was shocked. Although he rejected these women in his heart, because he hoped that big brother Qin would only love Yun Xiao. At this moment, Yunzhe was moved. He held the raging fire rod and leaped in front of Ren Xiaoyao, using the raging fire rod to block the girls and push them back. Damn it! Didn't you just cultivate for a few more decades? What's there to be proud about? When I cultivate to your age, I can kill you with one hand. Lu Jia, who was covered in blood, gritted his teeth and stood up. He ran to Yunzhe's side. His burly body was like a small hill as he stood in front of the women. Huang Jinghua also came. He gritted his teeth and pulled out the throwing knives on his body. He didn't care about the blood that spurted out. His blood-red eyes stared at Bai Yun. The women were anxious, and Lin Bei was crying. Since the establishment of Hero City, they had encountered many troubles. However, this time's trouble was the most troublesome. Even Huang Jinghua felt a little hopeless. Bai Yufei looked at the group of people who were not afraid of death. The expression in his eyes was somewhat complicated. His gaze suddenly fell on Hua Yan. He felt that this woman was somewhat familiar. However, Bai Yufei couldn't figure it out at the moment. Bai Yin did not make a move. He had been waiting for his big brother's decision. Bai Yufei was determined to take over Hero City. He had wanted to discuss this matter before. He thought that the people in Hero City were ordinary people. According to the regulations between the Wuxia government and the outer martial arts world. The outer martial arts world forces could not attack ordinary people. However, Bai Yufei discovered that Hero City was not as simple as it seemed. It was clearly a base built by a martial artist. This was exactly what Bai Yufei wanted. The Chinese government could not interfere in the battles between the martial artists outside. Bai Yufei could go on a killing spree and occupy Hero City. Bai Yufei's eyes lit up. You are no match for the herbal sect. I'll give you one last chance. Surrender now and hand over the city. I can let you go and accept you as the outer sect disciples of the herbal sect. You will serve the herbal sect in the future. Otherwise, you will be killed on the spot. The Wuxia government did not interfere with the battles of the outer martial arts world. It was fine as long as it did not affect the lives of ordinary people. Bai Yufei had no scruples. In his eyes, Hua Yin and the others were merely a group of ants. Bai, you deceived your master and betrayed your sect 10 years ago. You killed the people of my Hua family and seized my alchemy sect. Today, you still dare to come and take over Hero City? You'll have to do it over my dead body. A furious roar was heard from afar. It sounded very far away, but in the span of a few breaths, a gray-robed elder appeared in the air and slammed his palm down. Boom! A loud explosion was heard. Bai Yufei did not move. However, his expression changed drastically, and his eyes flickered with disbelief. Bai Yin was also stunned. Then he swung his sword. More than 10 sword rays flashed and exploded in midair with the elder's inner chi. It felt as if the ground was shaking. Loud explosions were heard. It was the aftermath of the explosion. The members of the phone group, who were guarding the perimeter of Hero City, retreated. It was not that they were afraid of death. It was because the battle had gone beyond what they could accept. Bai Yin landed on the ground after a few slashes. The gray-robed elder landed next to Hua Yin. It's you? Hua Bei. Bai Yufei regained his senses. However, the shock in his eyes had yet to fade. Hua Yin pouted and glared at Bai Yufei. She scolded. How dare you call my grandfather by his name? He's your master. The person who came was Hua Yan's grandfather. 10 years ago, he was also Bai Yufei's master Hua Bei. 10 years ago, Hua Bei was impressed by Bai Yufei's talent in alchemy. Thus, he accepted Bai Yufei as a disciple of the alchemy faction. He personally taught Bai Yufei the art of alchemy. However, when Bai Yufei had some achievements, he secretly framed the Hua family. He took away the alchemy faction and renamed it the alchemy faction. Hua Bei and the others were poisoned. In order to save them, Hua Bei destroyed his own cultivation and forcefully brought Hua Yin and his grandchildren away. 10 years passed in the blink of an eye. Now that the master and disciple met again, the atmosphere was completely different. It was said that a master for a day was a father for life. However, the master and disciple pair had now become irreconcilable enemies. Yen Yen, that bastard is the Hua family's #1 enemy. He is not my disciple. Our master-disciple relationship was severed 10 years ago. Hua Bei said coldly. Bai Yufei suddenly laughed. He did not expect Hua Bei to still be alive. For the past 10 years, Bai Yufei had been searching for Hua Bei. He was worried about her. Now that he had met her in Hero City, he was overjoyed. Great! You old fart, you are really lucky. I should have killed you 10 years ago. But I let you live for another 10 years. However, the result is still the same. None of the Hua family members will escape today. As soon as Bai Yufei finished speaking, Bai Yin swung his sword. Hua Bei leaped into the air again and fought with Bai Yin. In the past 10 years, Hua Bei had used medicinal pills to restore her strength to the early stage of Stage 9 inner chi. Not even Hua Yin knew about this. Bang! 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 The battle was unusually intense. Thunderous noises kept ringing in Bai Yufei's ears. Bai Yufei's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Originally, he only wanted to take over Hero City, but he did not expect that Hero City was the Hua family's territory. What Bai Yufei did 10 years ago could be considered as heartless. He did not want this to spread out. Today, he wanted to bathe Hero City in blood. Buzz! The faint sound of a sword rang. Bai Yufei unsheathed the sword in his hand. The sword flashed and blood splattered everywhere. Xiao Yao, are you all right? Ren Xiaoyao was a stage 7 inner qi martial artist. Her moon-shroud swordsmanship was extremely profound. When Qin Feng used the 9 swords of Dugu against her, he was amazed by Ren Xiaoyao's swordsmanship. However, under Bai Yufei's sword, Ren Xiaoyao did not even have the chance to make a move. She did not even have the time to unsheath the waning moon sword. She was already lying on the ground a dozen meters away. Hua Yin quickly went to check on Ren Xiaoyao's injuries. The women rushed toward Bai Yufei with cold faces. Huang Jinghua, Yunzhe, and Lu Jia were so scared that they screamed. If something happened to one of their sisters-in-law, they would be too ashamed to face Qin Feng. 3 figures flashed quickly and pounced on Bai Yufei first. Humph! A bunch of ants! Bai Yufei sneered. He swung the sword in his hand. It looked slow, but in the next second, Yunzhe and the other 2 were sent flying and landed on the ground dozens of meters away. Blood flowed like a river at the entrance of Hero City. The disciples of the Hong sect had all fallen. At this moment, only Zhao Lingxian and the other women were left standing outside Hero City. Hua Bei and Bai Yun were equally powerful. The 2 of them were fighting to the death. Hua Bei looked over and was so anxious that her neck turned red. "You're no match for him. Run!" Hua Bei yelled at the women, but they did not listen to her. The beauties were divided into teams. When they saw each other, they would bicker and quarrel. When it got serious, they would even fight each other. However, in the face of an enemy, the beauties had already put aside their internal conflicts. They were like sisters. They looked at each other, and their eyes shone with determination. "Sisters, stay alive. I'm going to quarrel with you for the rest of my life." Zhao Lingxian yelled and took the lead to stab at Bai Yufei. Lin Bei hurriedly followed. The beautiful Su sisters leapt up. Bai Qing and Liu Chen's expressions were grave and stern. Lu Wenjing waved her long whip, and even the youngest Lu Xiaojia yelled and waved her fists to keep up with the older sisters. The women attacked as if they were goddesses descending to the mortal world. Chapter 959. Buzz. A crisp sound was heard. No one saw how Bai Yufei attacked with his sword. It was so fast that it almost disappeared. The sword qi disappeared in a flash. Lu Jia, Huang Jinghua, and Yunzhe were lying on the ground. The 3 of them had ferocious looks on their faces as they kept shouting the girls' names. Hua Yin and Ren Xiaoyao felt their hearts skip a beat. They could almost see the tragic scene that was about to happen. The 2 girls could not accept this fact. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. Everyone was filled with despair. "How dare you create trouble in Hero City, you little brat?" An old voice sounded as if it came from the ancient times. Lu Jia and the others quickly looked up. A white shadow was floating in the air. It was Hua Tuo, the miracle doctor. Rumble! Hua Tuo slapped Bai Yufei with his palm. The air seemed to crack, and a turbulent aura blocked in front of the girls, dissipating the aura of the sword. The girls were still in shock. Hua Tuo had already landed on the ground. His skinny body looked like it could be blown away by a gust of wind. However, standing in front of everyone, he gave them a sense of security that they had never felt before. Bai Yufei was stunned. His eyes were shining with surprise as he looked at Hua Tuo from head to toe. Hua Tuo was wearing a white robe and stood with his hands behind his back. The wrinkles on his face symbolized the vicissitudes of life that Hua Tuo had experienced. His white eyebrows were slightly furrowed, and his white beard was fluttering in the wind. Bai Yufei looked at Hua Tuo, and Hua Tuo looked back at him. The 2 of them were obviously the strongest in the scene. However, they did not have any aura on them. Bai Yufei's heart was soon shaken. His calmness was broken, because he realized that the old man in front of him was also a true energy stage expert. The strength of Hero City had long surpassed Bai Yufei's expectations. "Who are you? Which faction are you from?" Hua Tuo did not speak. Bai Yufei could not understand Hua Tuo at all. He could not help but ask. "Hua Tuo from the Hero Alliance." Bai Yufei was stunned again. In the martial arts world outside of Wuxia, there were very few true qi stage experts. Logically speaking, those who could step into the true qi stage were all famous figures in the martial arts world. However, Bai Yufei did not know Hua Tuo, which was why he asked. However, the Hero Alliance that Hua Tuo mentioned and the name that he said were extremely unfamiliar. I'm Bai Yufei, the leader of the herbal faction. Why haven't I heard of the Hero Alliance? Bai Yufei announced his name. The herbal sect's reputation in the martial arts world was still quite resounding. Bai Yufei was trying to suppress Hua Tuo in terms of reputation. A pensive look flashed across Hua Tuo's face before he quickly regained his senses. The medicine sect? So you're the little thief who snatched away little friend Bai's alchemy sect. You grandson, why aren't you kneeling down when you see your grandfather? Hua Tuo had established the Divine Pill sect during his era. The current Hua Yan and the others were a branch of the Divine Pill sect. As time passed, the surname Hua was changed to Hua, and the Divine Pill sect was changed to Pill sect by the Hua family. Hua Tuo was indeed the ancestor of the Hua family. Bai Yufei was Hua Bai's disciple 10 years ago, so he had to address Hua Tuo as his ancestor. Hua Tuo was not lying. However, Bai Yufei had no idea about this complicated relationship. If he knew that the Hua Tuo in front of him was the same as the legendary Dr. Hua Tuo, he would be scared to death. Old fart, I'm trying to negotiate with you, but you're trying to take advantage of me. Don't think that I'm afraid of you. If we really fight, it's hard to say who will win. Bai Yufei was indeed afraid of Hua Tuo's skills, which was why he said so much nonsense. Hua Tuo's expression turned cold, and his voice sounded like a muffled thunder. You unfilial grandchild, your grandfather will teach you a lesson today. Hua Tuo's aura suddenly surged, and the turbulent aura surged out like a tidal wave. The herbal faction's disciples were pressed to the ground and could not get up. Bai Yufei's expression was solemn, and he looked like a completely different person compared to his frivolous self earlier. Without any time to think, Bai Yufei quickly swung his sword at Hua Tuo. Hua Tuo used his palm, while Bai Yufei used his sword. The two of them ran to an empty plain in the distance. Even from thousands of meters away, they could hear the rumbling sounds of battle. The people in Hero City and the martial artists who passed by the area outside were stunned. There were very few true Qi experts in Wuxia, and now there were two of them. Watching Hua Tuo and Bai Yufei fighting, everyone felt like it was the end of the world. Bei, are you okay? Is everyone okay? After the girls came to their senses, they began to check each other's injuries. Lu Jia, Yunzhe, and Huang Jinghua looked into the distance like they were going senile. Only now did they know that Hua Tuo was a true Qi expert. The three of them were so scared that they were drenched in sweat when they thought about how they would go to the herb garden to steal spiritual pearls and herbs to achieve a breakthrough. The martial artists from the outer world were completely dumbfounded. These people came from various sections. Shaolin Temple, Wudong sect, and the other big sects were among them. Many of them had been discussing about taking over Hero City earlier. But at this moment, those thoughts were completely destroyed. Rumble, rumble. The battle in the distance was still going on, but almost no one could see the details of the battle. Bai Yufei and Hua Tuo turned into two rays of light, one green and one white. Occasionally, the two of them would land on the ground, but in the blink of an eye, they would disappear again. However, the cracked rocks and the shaking ground told everyone that the battle was still going on, and it was extremely intense. Hua Bei and Bai Yin stopped fighting, and both of them returned to their respective teams. They also watched the battle in the distance. Bai Yufei's longsword was so fast that it was invisible, but it could not hurt Hua Tuo. Hua Tuo was barehanded, but it did not affect his strength. True Qi experts could release their true Qi and transform it into various forms. If Hua Tuo had a sword in his heart, he could transform his true Qi into a sword. If he needed fire, he could transform his true Qi into fire. Bang bang bang. Hua Tuo landed a dozen palm strikes in a row, but they were all completed in an instant. A dozen fireballs fell from the sky, and Bai Yufei leaped to avoid the attack. The fireballs hit the ground and instantly created a dozen deep pits. The battle only lasted for 10 minutes, but the two of them had exchanged more than 1,000 blows. Hua Tuo was a true Qi stage expert, but he lacked battle experience. When Qin Feng first got Hua Tuo, Shimen Shui told him that if they were to fight, Shimen Shui was confident that he could trap Hua Tuo. Apart from battle experience, Hua Tuo was facing another huge problem. The current era of Earth was very different from the era he was born in. The magnetic field of the fireballs had changed drastically. Ever since Hua Tuo was released from the system, he had to endure the interference of Earth's magnetic field. Fortunately, he had gotten used to Earth's magnetic field after staying in Hero City for more than 2 months. If it were Shimen Shui Shui or Ouyang Feng, 10 minutes would be more than enough for them to drop a few levels. Hua Tuo's level had dropped from True Qi stage to the peak of stage 9 Inner Qi. The difference was obvious. Haha, old man, you're too old, and your stamina is too weak. Bai Yufei soon noticed the abnormality in Hua Tuo's body, and he couldn't help but laugh. Hua Tuo did not waste any more time. He wanted to end the battle as soon as possible. Rumble. Several more fireballs flew down, heading straight for Bai Yu. However, this time, Bai Yufei did not dodge. Instead, he swung his longsword at Hua Tuo. An invisible wave of air rippled in front of Hua Tuo. Hua Tuo did not dodge either. Instead, he waited for Bai Yufei to come to him. When the two of them appeared again, time seemed to have stopped. Everyone could finally see the situation clearly. Shit. Hua Tuo is going to get hurt. Hua Bei was not weak either. She quickly saw through the current situation. Everyone in Hero City was worried about Hua Tuo, and the martial artists outside of Hero City were screaming in shock. The battle between True Qi stage masters was too terrifying. Old man, go to hell. Bai Yufei's sword was already in front of Hua Tuo. A hint of excitement flashed in his eyes. Hua Tuo still did not dodge. At the critical moment, he suddenly moved his body to the side. The longsword fell and pierced through Hua Tuo's left arm. However, at this moment, a bolt of lightning struck down from the sky and landed on Bai Yufei's head. Rumble! Sword chi exploded and thunder rumbled. Both Hua Tuo and Bai Yufei fell from the sky, creating 2 deep pits on the ground. Hua Bei and Bai Yufei's expressions changed. The two of them flew away at the same time. Bai Yufei was lying in a deep pit. His body was charred by the lightning, and black smoke was rising from it. Hua Tuo was also severely injured. One of his arms was covered in blood, and he could no longer lift it. Senior Hua Tuo, are you okay? Hua Bei was the first to arrive. She quickly took out a bottle of pills and fed it to Hua Tuo. Bai Yin also came to Bai Yufei's side and pulled him to the ground. Looking at his brother, who was battered by the lightning, Bai Yun's eyes almost popped out. Big brother, are you okay? Bai Yufei felt pain all over his body. That bolt of lightning had hurt him badly. Bai Yufei could have stabbed Hua Tuo to death, but he did not expect the old man to have the ability to use lightning. True Qi stage masters could convert their true Qi into fire and ice, but they could only do so after breaking through to stage 6 of true Qi. Bai Yufei had been careless. Let's retreat first. Once I recover, I will bathe Hero City in blood. Bai Yufei gritted his teeth and said. Bai Yin did not dare to delay, and carried Bai Yufei away. Most of the 30-odd disciples from the medicine sect were now lying in a pool of blood. The 5 or 6 disciples who could crawl to their feet hurriedly caught up with the sect master and elder Bai Yin. As for those who could not crawl to their feet, no one cared whether they lived or died. Don't chase after them. You can't beat them. Hua Bei saw that the herbal sect leader was about to escape, so she picked up her sword and chased after them. However, she was stopped by Hua Tuo. Hua Bei's hatred could not be extinguished, but she still returned to Hua Tuo's side. Senior, let me help you recover. Hua Bei helped Hua Tuo to the gate of Hero City. The girls surrounded them. Hua Tuo looked at them and said, The injured and the women, follow me back. The rest of you stay here. The herbal sect will not give up. We have to recover as soon as possible, and be ready for battle. The members of the Hong sect and the Feng group stayed to guard Hero City. The girls refused to leave, but Hua Tuo persuaded them again and again. The sudden attack from the herbal sect had caused great damage to Hero City, but no one wanted to report it to Qin Fun. They knew that Qin Fun had more important things to do, and they did not want to distract him. This battle also made Hero City famous in the martial arts world, and the Hero Alliance famous. Chapter 960. The filming of Hedonist Sovereign was completed. The bed scene that Qin Feng had been looking forward to since the beginning of filming never came to fruition. At least Qin Feng and Zhang Kuku were able to turn their act into reality. When he recalled how he fought with Zhang Kuku and the shy expressions of Rao Sherman and the other beauties, Qin Feng couldn't help but feel excited. Now that the filming was complete, Qin Feng should return to China. However, the William family's mission had not been completed, so Qin Feng could not leave now. Under Qin Feng's repeated persuasion, Rao Sherman and the other women returned to China. The staff from Hong Kong's House of Millions Media also left. Qin Feng was the only one left in America. Qin Feng, the Dragon Sect has contacted the Blood Kindred. The Blood Kindred's prince wants to meet with you first. Yan Wushuang's voice rang in Qin Feng's mind. She had been chatting with Qin Feng almost every day for the past few days. Where's the location? Qin Feng replied telepathically. Let's meet at your hotel at 1 in the afternoon. I'll send you their contact details. As soon as Yan Wushuang sent the message, the doorbell rang. Qin Feng went to open the door. A tall and sturdy man stood at the door. Qin Feng. The man was Caucasian. He wore a black windbreaker, a round hat, and a pair of black sunglasses. But he spoke in Wuxia. Qin Feng froze for a moment, then quickly reacted. A blood-breed prince. After hearing Qin Feng's reply, the man walked into the room and sat down on the sofa. Didn't you say to meet at 1 p.m.? You came 2 hours earlier? Qin Feng looked at his watch and asked. Hello. I'm Dracula, a descendant of the Brute clan. Dracula didn't answer Qin Feng's question. Instead, he stood up to shake hands with Qin Feng. As soon as Qin Feng grabbed Count's hand, he immediately felt a boundless force pulling him over. Awah! Dracula's face, which was as pale as a sheet, suddenly became sinister. He opened his bloody mouth and tried to bite Qin Feng's neck. Qin Feng didn't even have time to react. Didn't they say that these blood tribe members had been tamed and wouldn't drink human blood? It wasn't like that at all. Haha. Brother Qin Feng, I was just joking with you. But your willpower is very strong, so you can be the spy for this mission. Just as Count's teeth were about to touch Qin Feng's neck, he suddenly retreated and grinned at Qin Feng. Qin Feng patted his chest. He thought to himself that if Count had retreated a fraction of a second later, he would have killed him. Dracula, you're such a lame person. Don't you know that random jokes can kill people? Qin Feng rolled his eyes at Dracula. Dracula laughed. Don't worry, I won't really bite you to death. Qin Feng curled his lips. You're the one who's going to die. Count froze for a moment, then laughed heartily. Haha. Interesting, interesting. You Chinese are indeed very confident. You're the first one to say something like that to me. However, I'm afraid you don't have the strength to do so. Seeing that Dracula wanted to spar with him, Qin Feng waved his hand and said, Forget it, you don't understand how powerful I am. I'd better not spar with you. Otherwise, the US government will send a new blood tribe leader to meet me before our cooperation even begins. The smile on Dracula's face froze, and he suddenly punched. There was no inner chi in his fist. It was more like a punch from an ancient martial artist who practiced external techniques. The air seemed to have been shattered. Qin Feng couldn't predict the hidden force in this punch. However, he felt a strong sense of death coming toward him. Dracula actually made Qin Feng nervous. Rumble. Thunder rumbled and tiger roared. Qin Feng punched out and collided with Dracula's fist. The room shook violently. Debris fell from the ceiling of the ceiling. The chandelier hanging in the middle of the living room shook violently, as if it was going to fall at any moment. Bang! Qin Feng lost his balance and was sent flying backward. Dracula didn't move an inch, but he was shorter than before. His shoes sank into the ground. Yan Wushuang had given Qin Feng a detailed introduction of the blood tribe. The blood tribe lived in the day and came out at night. They possessed strength that was beyond the reach of ordinary people. After this punch, Qin Feng finally believed it. Dracula's strength was at the 9th stage of external technique. Rumble. Qin Feng freed himself from the wall and sent out 2 balls of destructive fire. Panic flashed in Dracula's eyes. The blood tribe was afraid of fire. Brother Qin Feng, I was just joking. Take your fire away. In the blink of an eye, the The fireballs landed in front of Dracula. Dracula couldn't stay calm anymore. He wanted to dodge, but the fireballs seemed to have eyes. No matter where he ran, the two balls of fire chased after him. Joking? You sent me flying, and you're done with the joke? Qin Feng wasn't a person who would let himself be taken advantage of. Dracula flew around the room. Qin Feng found that the blood tribe was not only strong, but also fast. He was like a bolt of lightning. I just want to see Brother Qin Feng's strength, and see if you have the ability to accept this mission. If your strength is too low, I'll advise you to quit. Otherwise you'll die in vain. Dracula's voice was anxious. It seemed like he was really frightened by the two balls of fire. However, Qin Feng didn't stop. He shouted, "Then you have to let me punch you." Dracula almost stumbled and fell. He felt that Qin Feng was like a child when he threw a tantrum. "Quick, hit me." After running for a while, Dracula couldn't take it anymore. He took the initiative to come to Qin Feng's side and let him hit him. Qin Feng kicked him. Dracula didn't dodge and directly sank into the opposite wall. Rumble! Qin Feng waved his hand, and the two fireballs disappeared. Dracula couldn't help but vomit a mouthful of blood. However, he didn't cry out in pain. "Dracula, are you okay?" Qin Feng put on a worried expression and ran over to pull Dracula out. Dracula's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. He sat down on the sofa angrily. "Let's talk about the plan." Qin Feng's expression returned to normal. He poured himself a cup of tea. "Go ahead." Dracula ran for a long time. His lips were dry from thirst. However, after waiting for a long time, Qin Feng only poured him a cup of tea. This made Dracula angry again. "The reason why I came in advance was to prevent spies from appearing in the Chinese government, and to prevent my identity from being exposed." "Then there are no spies in the US government? Are you trying to cause trouble?" Qin Feng rolled his eyes at Dracula. Dracula poured himself a cup of water and drank it in one gulp. "Of course there are spies in the US government. Therefore, I only listened to the arrangements of one superior for this mission. I can guarantee that there won't be any mistakes on the US side. You have to guarantee that there won't be any mistakes on the Chinese side." Dracula was very cautious. Qin Feng quite liked working with people like him. Chapter 961. I'm the only one participating in the mission from Wuxia. How can I be a spy? Besides, I was the one who discovered the William family's plan. If I were a spy, why would I tell the US government? Qin Feng discovered another weakness of the Blood Clan, and it seemed that they had some problems with their intelligence. "All right, then we can discuss the plan further," Dracula said. According to the US intelligence agency, the William family is using the Iron Tank Corps as a training base. Since you have the fire ability and are favored by the William family, you need to infiltrate the William family and find the precise location of the experimental base and send it to us. According to the U.S. intelligence agency, the William family's Arcana experimental base is training level 6 Arcanists. They are also conducting an experiment that can train ordinary people into Arcanists in batches. Once they succeed in the experiment, it will lead to a disaster on the entire Earth. Dracula said seriously, and his brows were knitted together. Qin Feng's mouth twitched, and he yelled at Dracula, "Damn it! This is what the US intelligence agency found out. This is obviously the news that Sir System told you guys." Dracula blushed, and he was a little embarrassed. Ahem. Since Brother Qin Feng has understood the urgency and crisis of the situation, let us discuss the details of our cooperation. This time, our main mission is to destroy the experimental base. We don't need to fight the Iron Tank Corps. After the experimental base is destroyed, the US military will take care of the rest. Dracula explained the plan proposed by the US in detail, and it was similar to what Qin Feng had in mind. "The Blood Clan is going to send a few hundred people to help me this time?" Qin Feng asked. Dracula was stunned. He curled his lips and said, "I'll try my best. I'll send about 30 people." Qin Feng was so angry that his nose was crooked. The William family had hundreds of metahumans, and they were even conducting experiments in the base of the Iron Tank Corps. It was fine if the United States did not send an army over. But they actually sent 30 vampires. This was too much of a scam. No, we have to send at least 500 members of the Blood Clan. Otherwise, we will be going to our deaths. Qinfen disagreed. The corner of Dracula's mouth twitched violently, and he rolled his eyes. You probably don't understand us blood breeds. Our bloodline is very pure, and there are only 300 members in the entire Brooke branch of the blood breed. The selection of the blood race's descendants is extremely strict, and it requires the approval of the prince under them. Furthermore, nurturing descendants is also an extremely troublesome and long process. Where are you going to find 500 blood race members for you? Qin Feng was at his wits' end. The number of vampires on Earth was even fewer than the number of ancient martial artists in China. The two of them chatted for a while. Then Dracula left first. After Dracula left, Qin Feng dialed the number that Prince William had left for him. Brother Zheng Shuai, I heard that the movie you filmed in the United States has been completed. Can you come to the William family for training now? The call was quickly connected, and Prince William's excited voice could be heard. Yeah, my movie is over. Do you guys have time? Come to the hotel and pick me up. Qin Feng said. Good. I'll go there myself. After hanging up the call with Prince William, she waited for more than an hour before Prince William rushed over. He drove the Lincoln limousine that Qin Feng sat in. Even though it was still daytime, the windows of the car were closed, so he could not see what was happening outside. Brother Zheng Shuai, it's great that you joined the William family. Only the William family can nurture a special ability user like you. In the car, Prince William took the initiative to chat with Qin Feng. Most of the conversation was about how great the William family was, and Qin Feng almost vomited after listening to it. The car drove smoothly, and by the time they arrived at the base of the Iron Tank Core, the sky had begun to darken. The two of them alighted from the car and arrived at the underground special ability training ground. The training ground was tens of thousands of square meters, and as usual, there were hundreds of special ability users training nonstop. Ice, fire, thunder, and lightning abilities would appear from time to time, and the scene was spectacular. Little Zheng Shuai, you're here. Professor Mike walked over. He was supervising everyone's training in the base. Qin Feng nodded at Professor Mike as a greeting. Prince William smiled at Qin Feng and said, Brother Zheng Shuai, come with us to test your special ability level first. Ah, I still need to test. Didn't they say that I'm a rank 5 fire ability user? Qin Feng looked at the two of them blankly. Haha, brother. Your flame does seem to have reached the intensity of a rank 5 special ability. But this is just my and Professor Mike's conjecture. We have a special testing device here, so we have to follow the standard of the device. Moreover, even if you're a rank 5 special ability user, there's still a huge difference in strength. After Prince William explained, Qin Feng followed the two of them to a semi-enclosed room. In the room there was a large, oddly shaped device. It was Qin Feng's first time seeing such a thing. How do we test it? Qin Feng asked. You just need to activate your most powerful special ability and smash the flame on the device. Prince William explained patiently. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, Qin Feng smashed a ball of destructive flame at the device. A loud bang rang out, and the temperature rose by a few degrees. Prince William and Professor Mike were shocked. Bang! The fireball smashed on the device, and another muffled sound rang out. The three of them looked at the device, and Qin Feng was slightly stunned. He didn't know what material the device was made of, but it was not burned by the destructive flame. Oh my God! Impossible! How is this possible? Prince William and Professor Mike exclaimed at the same time. Both of them were acting like idiots, and Qin Feng was shocked by the two of them. Brother Prince, what's the result of the test? What are you guys shouting for? Qin Feng couldn't understand the device, but judging from Prince William and Professor Mike's reaction, something serious must have happened. The two of them stared fixedly at Qin Feng, as if they had discovered a treasure in the desert. Qin Feng got goosebumps just looking at them. After a long time, Prince William regained his senses. He stuttered. Why, your result is too shocking. Why your flame has reached the level of a rank 6 special ability user. No wonder Prince William and Professor Mike were so shocked. The destructive flame belonged to the primordial fire of myriad beasts, so it was natural for it to be stronger. However, it was Qin Feng's turn to be shocked. The flame released by a rank 6 special ability user was comparable to the destructive flame? If that was the case, then he couldn't allow a rank 6 special ability user to be nurtured. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Qin Feng pretended to be confused and said foolishly, "No way? My flame has reached the standard of a rank 6 special ability user? Don't tell me the device is broken." "I don't know. Why don't you try another device?" Prince William and Professor Mike were dumbfounded. They couldn't be sure if the device was broken, so they dragged Qin Feng to the testing room next door. Boom! After entering the house, Qin Feng didn't waste any time and shot out another ball of fire of destruction. This time, however, Qin Feng intentionally lowered the intensity of the fire of destruction. The device showed that it was a rank 5 fire ability. "What level does it show?" Qin Feng asked, playing dumb. "Rank 5. Then the device over there is broken. Why don't I go over there and try again?" Qin Feng ran next door and suppressed the intensity of the destructive flames. The test result was also level 5. This time, everyone let out a sigh of relief. Level 5 was normal. It should be known that in the entire William family, there had never been a level 6 mutant. By the way, why did the device suddenly fail? Was the strength of rank 6 high? Qin Feng was still worried about the rank 6 special ability user. "I don't know why it suddenly failed. I've never encountered such a situation before." The test result was very high, reaching the peak strength of a rank 6 special ability user. "I guess it's beyond the range of this device. Otherwise, it could be even higher." Qin Feng heaved a sigh of relief after hearing Prince William's explanation. It turned out that the destructive flame had reached the peak strength of the device. This meant that the destructive flame might not necessarily be the strength of a rank 6 special ability user. If the device allowed it, it might reach the strength of a rank 8 or rank 9 special ability user. Now that the test result is out, what should I do next? Qin Feng changed the topic. He had to find the research base as soon as possible. Even if Qin Feng deliberately suppressed the intensity of the destructive flame, the test result was still very high, reaching the peak of a rank 5 special ability user. Such a special ability user was extremely rare in the William family, and he was the focus of training. However, Qin Feng had just joined the William family, and Prince William and Professor Mike didn't trust him very much. Were they going to bring Qin Feng to the laboratory now? Would something go wrong? "Why aren't you guys talking?" Prince William and Professor Mike were weighing the pros and cons in their hearts. Qin Feng shouted again, and the two quickly came back to their senses. "Hee. Brother Zheng Shuai, don't worry. You practice in the training field for a while. I'll go out with Professor Mike to discuss something." Prince William left Qin Feng behind, gave Professor Mike a look, and the two ran out. "Professor Mike, I reckon there's no fire special ability user in the entire William family who can compare to Zheng Shuai. What do you think we should do?" Prince William went straight to the point when there was no one else around. Professor Mike's face was solemn. "Our plan is about to begin. We're lacking special ability users with strong attack power, and fire special ability users are the strongest attackers. Zheng Shuai's arrival is timely, but he's new here, and we don't know much about him. If we send him to the research base now, it'll be troublesome if something happens. P.S. Recommend an urban novel, The Village Miracle Doctor, by Song of Crimson Flame. Chapter 962. Prince William and Professor Mike had the same concerns. After a moment of silence, Prince William said, "Then I'll tell my father about Zheng Shuai and see what he thinks." Professor Mike nodded. "That's for the best. You can propose to the Patriarch a plan to brainwash Zheng Shuai, just like how we brainwashed Alice. That way, we can completely control Zheng Shuai, and don't have to worry about him betraying the William family." Prince William thought this was a good suggestion, and immediately went to find his father, William Hagen. Professor Mike returned to the Arcana training base. Huh? You're back alone? Where are your brothers? Qin Fen pretended to be training in a fire tribute training room. When he saw Mike return, Qin Fen stopped what he was doing. He has something to do. Since you've joined the William family, don't stand on ceremony with us. Treat this place as your home in the future, and tell us if you have any requests. Professor Mike said some superficial words. He was just stalling for time. Qin Fen pretended to be ignorant and said, "Okay, then I'll continue training. I found that your training ground here is very good." Qin Fen began to train hard again. Professor Mike stood by and watched. Seeing Qin Fen tirelessly training his fire attribute arcana, Professor Mike's worry gradually decreased. After training for more than half an hour, Prince William returned with a person following him. The man was a big man who was more than 1.8 meters tall. He wore a well-ironed military uniform and had a stern face. When he walked, he gave off a strong sense of majesty. Patriarch Hagen. When Professor Mike saw the man, he quickly went up and greeted him respectfully. William Hagen waved his hand, and his eyes fell on Qin Fen in the training room. Qin Fen had long noticed William Hagen's arrival, but he pretended not to know, and continued to train his fire attribute arcana in the room. William Hagen stood outside the door to check Qin Fen's strength. Prince William and Professor Mike stood quietly behind him, one on the left and one on the right. After watching for a while, William Hagen said in a low voice, "This kid has reached the peak of a level 5 fire attribute arcana. Father, he is the Zheng Shuai I just mentioned to you. If he is experimentally modified, the chance of breaking through to level 6 will be very high. Patriarch, our plan is about to be implemented. If we have this guy's help, we can save a lot of trouble." The three of them communicated in English, because Prince William thought that Zheng Shuai did not understand English. William Hagen stared at Qin Fen for a while, then nodded and said, "Take him to be brainwashed. Then let him join the experimental group." Prince William and Professor Mike were waiting for these words. After making his decision, William Hagen turned around and walked out. Prince William and Professor Mike suppressed their excitement and ran to Qin Feng's training room. "Brother Zheng Shuai, take a break first." Prince William laughed. "Oh, Brother Prince, you're back. What did you do just now?" Qin Feng looked as if he had just realized that Prince William had come. I went to report your situation to the other higher-ups of the family. After everyone understood your situation, they unanimously thought highly of you. Now you can go to the experimental base." Qin Feng was slightly taken aback. He could go to the laboratory so soon? Sure. Then lead the way. Qin Feng suppressed the excitement in his heart and said calmly. Prince William and Professor Mike were also very excited. The two of them quickly walked in front, and Qin Feng followed them. The three of them left the underground training base and walked around the Iron Tank Regiment. Qin Feng paid attention to the surrounding terrain and position. He felt that he had walked from the periphery of the military base to the core area. "Brother Zheng Shuai, it's just in front." After walking for almost half an hour, they finally arrived. The three of them walked into a castle, went down the stairs, and arrived at another huge underground experimental base. "Brother Prince, is this the experimental base?" Qin Feng asked as he looked around. This underground base was as spacious and huge as the training base. However, there were fewer people here, but the number of guards in the base was no less than the training base. "Brother Zheng Shuai, there's a signal jammer installed here. Your cell phone and some other communication tools will be blocked. Later, we'll be conducting the experiment. You can take out all your belongings. I'll make a special safe for you. You can take them when you come out." Prince William said a lot of things to prevent Qin Feng from divulging the secret of this base. Qin Feng readily took out his cell phone and some other items. His communication method was much more advanced. He could directly use the Heroes Alliance to shout. "Is this enough?" Qin Feng emptied his body of belongings. "Haha. Okay, then let's go in." Prince William was already leading the way with a smile. Qin Feng walked in the middle, and Professor Mike deliberately slowed down and followed behind Qin Feng. The William family's vigilance was really high, but Qin Feng didn't care. He still found his way into the experimental base. The three of them walked through the hall. It turned out that there was a heavily guarded room at the end. When they saw Prince William and his people, the guard greeted them and opened the door. The inside of the room entered Qin Feng's vision. It was like a hospital. The whole room was filled with the smell of chemical reagents. The room was very big, and it was divided into many small rooms. The equipment and layout in each room were exactly the same. There were some simple medical equipment and a single bed. Some of the beds had people lying on them, and their bodies were full of test tubes and equipment wires. Qin Feng didn't know what they were doing. Qin Feng looked around along the way. Before he knew it, Prince William had already brought him into a separate room. "Brother Prince, are we going to start the experiment directly? What's the process like? Are you going to dissect me? I saw that some of the people in the rooms were full of tubes. Are you going to do that to me? Then I'll leave the William family." Qin Feng pretended to be nervous and afraid. Prince William and Professor Mike smiled amiably, trying to make Qin Feng lower his guard. "Haha, Brother Zheng Shuai, you don't have to worry. Since you've joined the William family, you're our brother. We're a family. Why would I do anything to harm you?" Prince William continued. "The people you saw are different from the experiment you're going to do. Your experiment is very simple, and we have professional professors and experts to help you complete the experiment. The success rate is 99%. 99% was already quite high, but it was a figure that Prince William had casually made up. They had yet to successfully cultivate a level 6 Arcanist. Before that, countless innocent lives had been sacrificed. Only 99%. Isn't there still a 1% failure rate? What if I happen to fail? Am I going to die?" Qin Feng looked like he was afraid of death. Prince William and Professor Mike's mouths twitched. The two's patience was about to run out, but Prince William still had to smile and pretend. "Haha, Brother Zheng Shuai, your joke is really funny. How can your luck be so bad? It's impossible for you to fail. Just believe me." "Then what are you going to do to me next?" Qin Feng asked. "You just need to lie on the bed. I'll find a professional to check your body's data. Then we'll conduct a modification experiment for you. After the experiment is completed, you'll be a level 6 mutant. Don't worry, it'll be done in half an hour." Prince William's tone was gentle, and the smile on his face was almost stiff. He said all sorts of nice things to calm Qin Feng down, and Qin Feng gradually calmed down. "All right, I'll believe you." Qin Feng was already lying on the bed. Professor Mike had already gone out, and now, he brought in a few people in blue uniforms. "Brother Zheng Shuai, these are the experts. Professor Mike and I will wait for you outside. It'll be over in half an hour." Prince William said a few more comforting words, then left with Professor Mike. A total of 3 workers came in. One was injecting medicine into Qin Feng. One was recording something in a notebook, and one was placing the tubes and wires on Qin Feng's body. "Lil Pig, what did that guy just inject into me?" Qin Feng asked telepathically. "Master, the system is extracting medicine for testing. It costs 500 Hedonist points. Quick test. Test complete. It's a strong anesthetic." Qin Feng immediately cursed inwardly. This Prince William was indeed a sly fox. He said it'd be over in half an hour, but this strong anesthetic would last for at least 12 hours. "Complete his grandpa. Buy me medicine to neutralize the anesthetic," Qin Feng said. "Master, you can use a strong anesthetic reliever. It costs 500 Hedonist points each." "I'll buy it." Qin Feng did not hesitate. He didn't want to be anesthetized for 12 hours. After the anesthetic was administered, the strong anesthetic reliever entered Qin Feng's body. The two medicines completely neutralized each other, and Qin Feng was completely fine. However, Qin Feng slowly closed his eyes. He had to continue pretending. If he was exposed now, all his previous efforts would go to waste. Not long after Qin Feng closed his eyes, the worker in charge of administering the anesthetic spoke in English. "Experiment number 666 has been anesthetized." Qin Feng was slightly startled. Number 666 was most likely the code name of the subject. Did this mean that there were 665 subjects who had been tested? These people were probably already dead. Experiment number 660 SXS vital signs are all normal. We can inject the brainwashing medicine now. Chapter 963. Qin Feng was extremely depressed. He had just bought a highly effective anesthetic reliever from the system, and this Yankee injected him with a brainwashing potion. What the hell is a brainwashing potion? Didn't that bastard Prince William say he would only check my body? This guy doesn't keep his word. Little pig, extract the brainwashing potion, and buy a reliever from the system. Master, extraction complete. The brainwashing potion is a potion that stimulates the nerves in the brain and turns the master into an idiot or loses his memory. Little pig explained. Qin Feng immediately understood that Prince William and the others didn't trust him. They said they were here to check his body, but in reality, they wanted to brainwash him. Qin Feng couldn't help but think of Li Shanshan. She must have been injected with the brainwashing potion when she was captured and brought to the William family. Then she forgot all her memories. Master, the brainwashing potion doesn't work on your brain, so you don't need to buy reliever, Little Pig added. Why doesn't it work? Qin Feng was puzzled. Because Master's spiritual power is much higher than an ordinary person's, and the system protects Master's brain. This kind of ordinary brainwashing potion is like water entering Master's brain. Qin Feng rolled his eyes. He really wanted to enter the system and strangle Little Pig. Qin Feng understood what Little Pig meant. He could ignore the brainwashing potion. However, this stupid pig's explanation made Qin Feng speechless. You're the one with water in your brain. Qin Feng was relieved to know that he would be fine. After the 3 staff members injected the brainwashing potion, they all left. Prince William and Professor Mike followed them in. They stood by Qin Feng's bed and looked at him for a while with wretched smiles on their faces. Qin Feng didn't want to see their cunning expressions. He was afraid that they would rush up and kill them if they became agitated. Qin Feng began to communicate with Li Xingtian through telepathy. Senior Li, are you there? I'm here. Li Xingtian had recently become familiar with the Hero Alliance's communication function, so he replied very quickly. Qin Feng, have you arrived in China? Go look for Shanshan when you have time, and ask her to join the Hero Alliance. I want to talk to her. Li Xingtian's voice was a little heavy, and Qin Feng immediately heard the problem. Senior Li, why are you in such a hurry to talk to Shanshan? When I get you out, you'll be able to see her. Li Xingtian laughed bitterly. I'm afraid I can't wait any longer. The William family's level 6 ability user is expected to be nurtured the day after tomorrow. I'm determined not to let such a thing that endangers society appear. I plan to destroy the test subject tomorrow night. Regardless of whether I succeed or not, I'll definitely die. Qin Feng stared blankly for a moment. He was moved by Li Xingtian's spirit of sacrifice. Senior Li, don't act recklessly. I've already snuck into the research base, Qin Feng hurriedly said. It was Li Xingtian's turn to be shocked. What? You're at the research base? Didn't I tell you to go back to China? Why are you so disobedient? Do you still want me to recognize you as my son-in-law? Li Xingtian was suddenly enraged and lashed out at Qin Feng. Qin Feng was speechless and said, Let's not argue about these things right now. Tell me the environment of the research base first, and I'll see if I'm in the research base. Li Xingtian was silent for a moment, then suddenly sighed. Sigh. I really didn't misjudge you. Good boy, you're a good boy. The research base is very big, and it's divided into many small rooms. The rooms are used for various experiments. Each room has the same necessary equipment, and there are also beds. Li Xingtian gave a simple explanation. Qin Feng was overjoyed. He was sure that he was in the research base. Senior Li, I'm being experimented on in the research base. How can I find you? Qin Feng was a little excited. Li Xingtian's voice suddenly rose a few decibels. You're doing experiments? You can't be that new idiot, right? No. That idiot is a level 5 fire ability user, but you're not either. Li Xingtian seemed to be talking to himself, but Qin Feng felt as if his heart had been stabbed twice. Senior Li, the person you're talking about is me. Li Xingtian screamed in Qin Feng's mind for a long time. Fortunately, The two of them were communicating telepathically. Otherwise, Li Xingtian would have been exposed. Fuck. That idiot is really you? Senior Li, I'm your future son-in-law. Can you not call me an idiot? Qin Feng was very angry. Ahem. I didn't come up with this nickname. It was Prince William. He came to me just now and said that there's a new person, a level 5 fire ability user. After the brainwashing, he wants me to do a breakthrough experiment for you. Li Xingtian suddenly screamed halfway. It's over, it's over. Hurry and run. They're doing a brainwashing experiment on you, not a physical examination. Qin Feng had the urge to cut off Li Xingtian's signal. This old man's screams were even more ear-piercing than those women's. Senior Li stopped screaming. I already knew that this is a brainwashing experiment, but I have a way to not be brainwashed. Otherwise, would I still be talking to you now? That's right. It seems that you're not an idiot. The William family is the idiot. Li Xingtian suddenly realized. Qin Feng rolled his eyes. Nonsense. Of course I'm not an idiot. This is bad. Even if you're not brainwashed, there's no way you can save me. This is the base of the Iron Tank core, and it's heavily guarded. There are also hundreds of ability users. Hurry up and think of a way to escape. Li Xingtian started to scream anxiously again. Qin Feng had enough of this old man, and cut off the communication. Prince William and Professor Mike stayed in the room for a while, and then left. Qin Feng was left alone in the room. No one cared about him. Qin Feng thought that he would be brought to see Li Xingtian after the brainwashing experiment was over. Qin Feng entered his mind into the system and prepared to forge some talismans and magic tools for Li Xingtian. Otherwise, Li Xingtian would be in great danger if a fight broke out. Qin Feng first entered the forging interface. He could forge various quality spiritual tools. Qin Feng's purple thunder wild robe was forged in this interface. Magic tools were a grade lower than spiritual tools, so it was easier to forge them. Qin Feng still had a lot of materials in the Emerald Spirit Ring. He randomly picked a few and forged 5 defensive magic tools in a few minutes. After forging the magic tools, Qin Feng entered the Talisman Palace. The Talisman Palace was a place that specialized in making talismans. Only true Qi experts could make talismans. Inner Qi experts could also make talismans, but they needed spirit stones as the energy for making talismans. Qin Feng did not lack spirit stones. He took out 2 low-grade spirit stones from the Emerald Spirit Ring and spent a few hours making hundreds of fireball talismans. After he was done, Qin Feng exited the system. The laboratory was located in the basement. He had no idea whether it was day or night outside. Qin Feng also did not know how long he had been lying on the bed. He could only wait for Prince William and Professor Mike to find him. In a flash, another few hours had passed. The door of the laboratory was pushed open. Prince William and Professor Mike had changed their clothes. This meant that 1 day and 1 night had passed. This brat still hasn't woken up. Prince William did not need to pretend anymore. He spoke coldly and looked at Qin Feng with an unfriendly gaze. Don't worry. The strong anesthetic will last for 16 hours. I estimate that he will wake up in an hour, Professor Mike said as he looked at his watch. Both of them spoke in English, but Qin Feng could completely understand them now. Knowing that he would wake up in an hour, Qin Feng simply went to the system to take a look. Where is this? Why am I sleeping here? After an hour had passed, Qin Feng sat up from the bed in a daze. Prince William and Professor Mike had been staying in the room. When he saw Qin Feng woke up, Prince William immediately ran over and said, Brother Zheng Shuai, you're awake. I'm Prince William. Prince William greeted Qin Feng enthusiastically. Qin Feng thought to himself that this guy was indeed cunning. He was obviously brainwashed, yet he still asked such a question. It was obvious that he was investigating him. What frog prince? I don't know you. Qin Feng had just finished filming the movie Hedonist Sovereign, so acting was a piece of cake for him. The corner of Prince William's mouth twitched. He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. However, he still maintained his smile and said, You really don't know me? Then look at him, he is Professor Mike. Qin Feng looked at Professor Mike with confusion in his eyes. Who is this grandpa? I don't know him either. Why did you bring me here? I want to call the police. Qin Feng began to struggle. Professor Mike was about to faint from anger when he was called Grandpa. Prince William and Professor Mike secretly looked at each other. Both of them nodded. They were very satisfied with the effect of the brainwashing. Brother Zheng Shuai, don't worry. We are all your friends. Come with us to a place where your family is. Prince William's ability to deceive people was very strong. Qin Feng followed along and said, Where are my family? Quickly take me there. Prince William and Professor Mike walked one after the other, with Qin Feng walking between them. This underground laboratory was indeed very big. Prince William walked around for a while and arrived at a deeper space. The layout here had changed again. There were more instruments and equipment, some of which Qin Feng had never seen before. Where are my family? You're not lying to me, are you? Qin Feng followed the two of them into a small sealed room. A gray-haired old man walked out. Brother Zheng Shuai, this is your family, Prince William said as he pointed at the old man. Qin Feng was stunned for a moment. Wasn't this old man Li Xingtian? It had only been a few months since they parted at Provincial University, but Li Xingtian had aged a lot. It felt like they hadn't seen him for more than 10 years. Li Xingtian knew Zheng Shuai's identity. When he saw Qin Feng barging into the William family's base, without any regard for the difficulties and dangers in order to save him, and even changing his face, Li Xingtian was so moved that his body trembled. His eyes brimmed with tears as he rushed to Qin Feng's side. Chapter 964. Qin Feng's cataracts were about to fall out. Li Xingtian, that old fart, was taking advantage of him. Prince William and Professor Mike were also stunned. Actually, the two of them often brainwashed metahumans and lied to them that they were going to look for their relatives. Then, they would let Li Xingtian pretend to be their relative. Li Xingtian had often acted in the past, but this time, Prince William and Professor Mike thought that he had acted the best. If the two of them didn't know Zheng Shuai's identity, they would have thought that Zheng Shuai was Li Xingtian's son. Hey, what's wrong with you, old man? Who's your son? Don't be crazy, okay? Qin Feng pushed Li Xingtian away. He had lost his memory, so logically speaking, he should not even recognize his father. Li Xingtian looked at Zheng Shuai with a pained expression. Prince William and Professor Mike regained their senses and quickly came to mediate. Brother Zheng Shuai, how can you say such unfilial words? He's your biological father. Senior Li, don't be sad. Zheng Shuai seems to have lost his memory. Why don't you talk to him alone for a while, and then do Zheng Shuai's experiment? Professor Mike gave Li Xingtian a look, and Li Xingtian nodded. Is he really my father? Qin Feng pretended to be at a loss. Of course he is. Brother Zheng Shuai, have a good talk with Senior Li. He will tell you some things, and you will slowly remember them. Prince William patted Qin Feng's shoulder and left with Professor Mike. Only Qin Feng and Li Xingtian were left in the room. Before Qin Feng could speak, Li Xingtian said through the Heroes Alliance, Don't talk nonsense. There are surveillance cameras and bugs in the room. After Prince William and Professor Mike left, they turned around and walked into the room next door. There was an LCD television in the room, and it clearly showed Qin Feng's situation. There was also sound coming from the television, and the effect was like watching a television program. Are you really my father, old man? Qin Feng looked at Li Xingtian doubtfully. Son, don't ask such a silly question. You look so much like me, so of course I'm your father. Li Xingtian regretted it immediately. Qin Feng was really ugly now. Qin Feng stared at Li Xingtian's face for a while, then said seriously, According to what you said, you really are my father. Prince William and Professor Mike laughed in the room next door. The corners of Li Xingtian's mouth twitched violently. He pointed to the bed on the side and said, Go lie on the bed. I'll tell you what happened before. Qin Feng got onto the bed. In order to put on an act for Prince William and the Crown Prince, Li Xingtian took out some medical equipment and started to examine Qin Feng. The two of them would converse from time to time, but the conversations in their minds were much richer. You brat, you really came. You want to ascend to the heavens. Li Xingtian had found out last night that Qin Feng had snuck into the laboratory, but seeing Qin Feng now, Li Xingtian was still filled with shock and gratitude. Senior Li, how long will my experiment take? Qin Feng asked. Under normal circumstances, it would take 24 hours. That's more than enough time. Continue acting, I'll contact my reinforcements. According to what Li Xingtian said, the William family's rank 6 ability users would be nurtured by tonight. Qin Feng had to destroy this research base before tonight. Qin Feng had already contacted Yan Wushuang. Team leader Yan, I've infiltrated the William family's experimental base. Really? Can you send me your location? Yan Wushuang's pleasantly surprised voice rang in Qin Feng's mind. Qin Feng spent 1,000 hedonist points and used the hedonist sovereign system to send the exact location of the laboratory to Yan Wushuang. The location is so precise. How did you do it? Wait a moment. I'll report it to the Dragon Sect now. Yan Wushuang was so excited that she went to contact the Dragon Sect. Soon, Yan Wushuang's voice rang in Qin Feng's mind again. Qin Feng, the Dragon Sect has received the location information and sent it to the person in charge in America. America has already replied to the Dragon Sect, saying that they will send the elites of the blood descendants to support us. The operation will start at 8 p.m. in America time. Seeing that everything was going smoothly, Qin Feng heaved a sigh of relief. He chatted with Yan Wushuang for a while longer, and then disconnected. Senior Li, I'll help you escape at 8 p.m. tonight, Qin Feng said to Li Xingtian through telepathy. Li Xingtian's hand, that was injecting Qin Feng with the potion, trembled. What? Escape at 8 p.m. tonight? Both of us won't be able to escape. Of course, it's not just the two of us. The American government has already learned of the William family's plan. They will send reinforcements tonight. I'll leave some magic tools and fireball charms for you later. Remember to keep the magic tools with you at all times. Li Xingtian was stunned. It turned out that the American government had already learned of the William family's plan. Li Xingtian, who had been in a state of despair, finally saw a glimmer of hope. He wanted to lift Qin Feng's face and kiss him on the forehead. However, when he thought that the William family must be monitoring him, Li Xingtian quickly dismissed the idea. Fortunately, he dismissed the idea. Otherwise, Qin Feng would have smacked him to death. Li Xingtian pretended to be conducting experiments on Qin Feng. However, he had replaced some of the potions he used with glucose. Qin Feng had been drinking sugar water for the whole afternoon, and he felt sick. Qin Feng's flame was the myriad beast true fire, and he was not a fire ability user. Otherwise, Li Xingtian would really want to transform Qin Feng's body and help him break through to the realm of a level 6 fire ability user. The two of them put on an act in the laboratory for the whole afternoon. Prince William and Professor Mike, who were in the room next door, watched for the whole afternoon. They didn't see any clues and thought that Li Xingtian was really modifying Qin Feng's body. Prince William's phone rang. He answered the call. Prince William didn't say anything. He just listened to the voice on the phone. As he listened, Prince William's expression gradually turned cold, and his brows furrowed. What happened? Professor Mike asked as soon as Prince William hung up the phone. Something big happened. Let's go find my father now. Prince William didn't say what exactly happened. He opened the door and ran out. Professor Mike's face was full of solemnity. He knew that something serious and urgent must have happened. Prince William and Professor Mike ran away. They didn't even have the mood to continue supervising Li Xingtian's experiment. However, Qin Feng and Li Xingtian were still acting. They didn't know what happened in the room next door. Master, it's already 7:30 a.m. There was no sense of day or night in the laboratory. There was no clock in sight. All the items of the staff and experimenters were taken away. Therefore, Qin Feng specially reminded Little Pig to record the time before he came in. Senior Li, it's 7:30 a.m. now. We'll act in half an hour, Qin Feng said to Li Xingtian telepathically. Li Xingtian's hand trembled again. 3 big bumps appeared on Qin Feng's arm. Qin Feng didn't kick Li Xingtian to death, because Li Xingtian was his future father-in-law. I'm a little nervous. Who are the reinforcements you called? Li Xingtian's voice was trembling. Senior Li, don't worry. The US has sent a large group of vampires to help us. We'll be fine. Qin Feng would have been fine if he hadn't said anything. Once he spoke, Li Xingtian was so shocked that he almost fell off his chair. What? Vampires? Why would the US send vampires? Don't tell me they're going to eat us? Li Xingtian didn't know much about vampires. His reaction was the same as Qin Feng's when he first heard about the Blood Clan's cooperation. Qin Feng patiently explained the true nature of the Blood Clan to Li Xingtian. Li Xingtian finally calmed down. Time flew by. Half an hour passed in the blink of an eye. Little Pig had already reminded Qin Feng in his mind. Qin Feng immediately threw the 5 defensive magic tools to Li Xingtian. At the same time, he stuffed a large pile of yellow paper talismans into Li Xingtian's pocket. Hurry up and put on the magic tools. We're going to act. Qin Feng pulled out all the needles and instruments from his body. Li Xingtian frantically put on the defensive magic tools such as necklaces, bracelets, and rings. Then, he touched the yellow paper talismans in his pocket and almost fell. Qin Feng, why did you give me a pile of yellow paper talismans? Are you burning paper money for me in advance? Qin Feng ran to the door. His eyes rolled back, and he almost fainted from anger. He pulled Li Xingtian out of the room. As soon as the two of them came out, a loud noise came from outside. Rumble! Rumble! The loud noise did not stop once. It sounded like thunder. The entire laboratory shook slightly. Many of the staff members and ability users, who were doing experiments, rushed out. Everyone stood in the hall and looked at each other in confusion. No one knew what was going on here. Brother Qin Feng, where are you? The loud noise gradually subsided. A group of people rushed in from the entrance of the laboratory. This group of people was dressed in black, tight-fitting leather clothes and black leather boots. The cloaks on their shoulders were black on the outside, but blood red on the inside. Oh no, we've been discovered. Quick, hide. Li Xingtian was frightened by this group of people. He pulled Qin Feng to hide. Qin Feng was so angry that he almost kicked Li Xingtian away. He pulled Li Xingtian and shouted at the door. Brother Dracula, over here! The people who came were the Blood Clan led by Prince Dracula. Qin Feng glanced at them, and found that there were only about 30 of them. Whoosh! 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 As soon as Qin Feng's voice fell, the air above the laboratory was filled with black shadows. The 30 or so members of the Blood Clan flew into the air, and leaped from the top of the wall. Their movements were extremely fast, and their mouths emitted ear-piercing hissing sounds. Their movements were like giant bats, and within a few breaths, they had landed around Qin Feng and Li Xingtian. Where is the laboratory for the level 6 mutants? Chapter 965. Qin Feng did not dare to waste any more time. This was the base of the Iron Tank Corps, and there were hundreds of metahumans trained by the William family. If they waited until they came to their senses, none of them would be able to escape. Senior Li, bring us to the experimental base of the rank 6 metahumans. Qin Feng looked at Li Xingtian. Oh, everyone come with me. Li Xingtian was stunned for a moment before he came to his senses. The nervous and fearful look on his face had disappeared. Li Xingtian was also against the experiment of training rank 6 metahumans. Rebellion. Li Xingtian has brought people to rebel. Fuck. How dare you cause trouble in the William family's base? Go to hell. Quick, inform Patriarch Hagen and get the army to kill these people. The huge experimental base was in an uproar. Many of the staff members were members of the William family. They quickly began to flee. Some even took out their phones to inform the William family. The rest were the metahumans trained by the William family, and there were about 30 of them. These metahumans reacted quickly and attacked Qin Feng and the others. Rumble! Rumble! In an instant, flames and ice appeared in the air above the research base. It was as if a rain of fire was raining down from the sky. Li Xingtian conducted experiments for metahumans every day, but this was the first time he fought against a metahuman. Seeing this spectacular scene, Li Xingtian was stunned. You guys guard this place. Brother Qin Feng, the 3 of us will go in. Count reacted quickly and rushed forward while pulling Qin Feng and Li Xingtian. The 30 or so blood breeds behind them let out ear-piercing screeches. Suddenly, streaks of black shadows appeared in mid-air. They flew back and forth like bats. The flames and ice were blocked by the blood breeds, and Qin Feng and the other two quickly ran inside. So it's the blood breeds. You bunch of half-human half-ghosts, go to hell. A rank 4 fire metahuman swung his fist, and his entire right arm was set ablaze. Count was about to exchange blows with him, but when he saw the dazzling flame, he quickly retreated in fear. Rumble! Laming and Tiger Roar leaped over him, and Qin Feng threw a punch at the level 4 fire ability user. The fire ability user was sent flying into the solid steel wall, unable to climb out. Senior Li, lead the way. If you encounter any enemies, use the fireball talisman to smash them. Qin Feng's expression was ice cold. A blue sword appeared in his hand, and he tossed the Heaven Splitter axe to Count. Qin Feng wielded a longsword while Dracula wielded a pair of battle axes. The two of them followed behind Li Xingtian, killing the metahumans that came after him. Buzz! The longsword slashed across, and sword rays shot out in all directions. The power of the 9 strategies beyond the swords was not to be underestimated. Every sword move was extremely simple, but it carried an earth-shattering momentum. Count liked the pair of battle axes that Qin Feng had given him. The Sky Splitter axe displayed great power in his hands. Count had extraordinary strength, and every time the 2 axes fell, they would pierce through the air. Whenever they landed on an ability user, they would be directly smashed into meat paste. With Qin Feng and Dracula at the rear, they advanced very quickly. Li Xingtian suddenly screamed, "It's over, there are 2 ability users in front." Qin Feng swung his sword and pierced 3 ability users behind him while shouting, "Throw the fireball talismans in your hands." Only then did Li Xingtian remember that he had more than 100 yellow paper talismans. He grabbed a handful and threw them at the 2 ability users in front of him. The fireball talisman fell and really hit the 2 of them, startling the 2 American ability users. But after waiting for a few seconds, nothing happened at all. The 2 ability users were so angry that they punched at Li Xingtian. "Fuck. Son-in-law, don't be such a scammer. Are these yellow paper talismans really for me to burn?" Li Xingtian shouted. Qin Feng suddenly remembered something and quickly shouted, "Father-in-law, if you throw them again, I'll chant the incantation." Feng Feng is so handsome. After the battle at the Amethyst Dragon Palace, Qin Feng went to Jindu City and started selling talismans at Yulin Street. At that time, Qin Feng had set up a slogan for his talismans. The slogan had never changed. Feng Feng is so handsome. Dracula, who was in the middle of a fight, suddenly froze. Then he glared at Qin Feng with a strange expression. Li Xingtian suppressed the urge to vomit and threw another stack of fireball talismans. Feng Feng is so handsome. Rumble! Rumble! Dozens of fireball talismans exploded and turned into dozens of balls of fire. The 2 ability users didn't even have time to react before they were engulfed by the fire. They wailed and howled in pain. Swoosh! Qin Feng clapped his hands, and 2 white lights flashed. The 2 people who were screaming miserably in the flames immediately fell to the ground, completely silent. "Senior Li, how much further? Time is of the essence." The grim expression on Qin Feng and Dracula's faces never dissipated. The mission this time was too difficult. Even if Qin Feng was at the early stage of Stage 9 Inner Qi, he and the Blood Clan of the United States were working together. Li Xingtian also realized the urgency of the situation. He grabbed a handful of fireball talismans and rushed forward. Whenever someone tried to stop him, Li Xingtian would throw a stack of fireball talismans at them without hesitation. The 3 of them increased their speed. After running for about 5 minutes, they finally arrived at the base of the rank 6 ability user's laboratory. "We're here." Li Xingtian stopped abruptly and shouted anxiously, "There's a passcode door here. How do we get in?" Qin Feng and Dracula killed many ability users along the way. The remaining ability users were trapped outside by the Blood Clan members. Qin Feng and Dracula turned around and saw a huge door that led to the top. They didn't know what material the door was made of, but it looked extremely hard. There were 8 guards guarding the door. When they saw Qin Fun and Dracula, they realized something was wrong. Professor Li, why are you here? Who are those two? Li Xingtian was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. Without saying anything, he threw the remaining 50 or so fireball talismans in his hand. Feng Feng is so handsome. Rumble. More than 50 fireballs exploded in an instant, and the basement was illuminated as if it was daytime. Dracula seemed to be a little afraid of the light, and quickly covered his head with his cloak. 6 of the 8 guards at the door died in an instant. Li Xingtian ran out of fireball talismans, and quickly returned to Qin Fun's side. My good son-in-law, give your father-in-law some more yellow paper talismans. These things are really fucking powerful. Qin Fun glanced at Li Xingtian's pocket, and found that the old man had really used up more than 100 fireball talismans. It took Qin Fun several hours to make them. Qin Fun was so angry that he wanted to kick someone again. My dear father-in-law, those fireball talismans are all treasures. Do you think I bought them with a dime each? I've given them all to you. I don't have any left. Qin Fun grumbled a few words, and his expression suddenly became serious. Before the 2 superhumans could pounce on him, Qin Fun raised the Chongling sword in his hand into the air. The bodies of the 2 superhumans suddenly froze, and a moment later, they directly exploded. Ah! Li Xingtian was frightened by this bloody scene and screamed. Qin Fun and Dracula were already used to this. The 2 of them walked to the door with cold faces. After fumbling with the password on the door for a while, Qin Fun and Dracula couldn't open the door. Qin Fun jumped and landed more than 10 meters away from the door. He shouted at Dracula, "You retreat first. I'll split the door open." Dracula was very fast and landed behind Qin Fun in the blink of an eye. The Chongling sword in Qin Fun's hand had already slashed down. A condensed blue sword energy surged out, as if it was going to pierce the sky. Rumble! Rumble! Loud noises sounded everywhere. The entire underground laboratory shook violently. Some gravel and ceiling fell from above, and many chandeliers directly smashed down. But in the next second, Qin Fun and the other 2 were stunned. The door in front of them didn't split open. Only a small scratch was left on it. If they didn't look carefully, they would even ignore it. Let me try. Dracula roared and rushed forward with his sky splitter axe. Dracula didn't have inner chi. He directly jumped to the front of the door. The battle axe in his hand fell down violently. With the force of the forward rush, there was an unstoppable momentum. Rumble! There was another loud noise. Even the 2 walls next to them cracked with arm-thick cracks. But the door in front of them still didn't crack open. Another scratch was left on it. Qin Fun was angry. It had been 15 minutes since they started the operation. This time, the original plan was to destroy the experimental base in half an hour. At the same time, everyone had to escape from the base of the iron tank core. At this speed, it was obvious that they would exceed the time limit. And the longer they delayed, the lower the success rate of the mission. Everyone retreat further. Unknowingly, a domineering purple battle robe appeared on Qin Fun's body. His battle robe and cloak flapped in the wind. The silver armor was flowing with purple electric light. The electric light became brighter and brighter, as if forming a ball of purple lightning. Rumble! A muffled thunder rang out. A ball of ring-shaped purple lightning struck down from the sky, startling Li Xingtian and Dracula. Crackle crackle! The door, which was made of an unknown material, emitted a loud noise like frying beans. The knife marks left by Qin Fun and Count were slowly cracking. The cracks grew larger and larger, and finally, the entire door was covered in cracks, which were as dense as a spider web. Rumble! There was another muffled sound. Qin Fun's second lightning struck. This time, the door at the top of the passage exploded. The bottom half of the door collapsed with a loud bang. The door panels above turned into fragments and flew everywhere. Some were directly inserted into the wall, while others fell to the ground and smashed dozens of deep pits. Oh my god! Son-in-law, you can also attract lightning? Where the hell did this monster come from? Li Xingtian was stunned. Thinking that his daughter had followed such a powerful man like Qin Fun, Li Xingtian immediately felt relieved. Even Dracula was shocked. He had seen Qin Fun use the fire ability before. Now Qin Fun used the lightning ability. This was a rare talent. Let's not talk about this first. Let's go in and destroy this base. Qinfen didn't waste any time. He leaped and rushed into the laboratory first. Because the door had just collapsed, it set off a cloud of dust. The situation inside the laboratory couldn't be seen at all. Qinfen had just entered, and in the next second he jumped out again. Oh no, it's an ambush. Chapter 966. Li Xingtian and Count followed behind Qinfeng. Before they could figure out what was going on, Qinfeng pounced on them and knocked them to the ground. Thud 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 thud. A series of gunshots rang out. Judging from the sound, it should be the sound of a machine gun. The wall outside was riddled with holes, and the ceiling was riddled with hundreds of small holes. Rubble flew in all directions, and the room was filled with sparks. Qinfeng pulled Li Xingtian and Count to a corner. In front of the three of them was a layer of ice wall. As soon as the ice wall was shattered by the bullets, it was replaced by a new layer of ice. Li Xingtian and Count were still in a state of shock, especially Count. He was so shocked that he couldn't utter a word as he stared at the layers of magnificent, deep blue walls of ice. Qinfen is incredible. He's a triple elemental paranormal. Brother Count, I can't hold on any longer. Find a chance to strike. There were probably more than a dozen machine guns shooting at him. The bullets were like they were free, forming a dense rain of bullets. Under such a strong attack, Qinfeng felt that the inner qi in his body couldn't keep up, and he couldn't activate extreme ice any longer. Damn it! There's a mole! Count quickly regained his senses. His mind worked quickly, and he found the root of the problem. However, the current situation was critical, and it wasn't the time to discuss who the mole was. Count looked at the situation outside, and saw 8 machine guns set up at the entrance of the laboratory. The flashing sparks almost blinded Count's eyes. Boom! Several fireballs fell from the sky. Qinfeng yelled, "Go!" The extreme ice wall in front of him had disappeared. Qinfeng couldn't withstand the barrage of 8 machine guns, so he took the lead and dashed forward. Count's reaction was faster. He leaped to the top of the wall and transformed into a bat. Although he moved backward, he reached the entrance before Qinfeng. Thud thud thud. Thud thud thud. The machine guns were still firing fiercely. Dozens of bullets hit Li Xingtian, but they didn't penetrate his body. Suddenly, blue halos bloomed on Li Xingtian's body. Following that, the defensive necklace on Li Xingtian's neck dimmed and turned into a pile of powder that scattered with the wind. Roar! You traitors, go to hell! Dracula didn't know what provoked him, but as soon as he landed he went berserk. This guy was too powerful when he was angry, and even Qinfeng didn't dare to get close to him. Bang 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 bang. In just a breath's time, Dracula had sent all the soldiers in front of the 4 machine guns flying. His strength was boundless, and he had directly smashed the 4 of them into meat paste. Xiao xiao xiao. Qinfeng waved his hand, and with a flash of white light, he slit the throats of the other 4 soldiers. Qinfeng stopped in front of the door, while Count charged in like a wild bull. In front of them was a wall of ice that separated the room into 2 sides. Qinfeng and Count were completely blocked on the outside. Bang 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 bang. Dracula desperately hammered the ice wall with his sky-splitter axe. His eyes were bloodshot. Qinfeng didn't know why Dracula suddenly became so angry. Could it be that he wanted to drink human blood? At this time, a series of footsteps came from outside. It was the members of the Blood clan rushing over. There were originally more than 30 vampires, but now there were only about 20 left. Prince Dracula. One of the vampires asked for Dracula's instructions. Dracula roared angrily, "Smash! Smash through this ice wall for me!" Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, more than 20 black shadows flew under the ice wall, and all of them used their fists to hit the ice wall. The wall was broken layer by layer, but in an instant, a new layer of ice appeared to fill the gap. Qinfeng didn't even need to think to know that there were probably dozens of ice-type mutants standing on the other side. Ha ha ha. Prince Dracula, you don't have to waste your energy. You won't be able to break through this ice wall. The William family's level 6 arcanists have entered the final stage. In 10 minutes, the level 6 Arcanists will be born. By then, the world will belong to the William family. Suddenly, a burst of laughter came from the other side of the ice wall. It was Prince William's voice. Prince William, stop your wishful thinking. With me Qinfeng, here. I can destroy your base in minutes. Qinfeng roared as he swung his sword. Humph. You brat. You're even more cunning than a fox. One moment, you used Xiaofeng's identity, and the next moment, you used Zheng Shuai's identity. But all of this is useless. If you can infiltrate the William family's base, then naturally, our William family also has a spy in your team. Didn't your plan get exposed tonight? Ha ha ha. Prince William laughed maniacally. He had arranged for 30 ice-type mutants to guard the ice wall. He didn't believe that Qin Feng's team could break through this defense. As long as they could hold on for 10 minutes, the level 6 mutants would appear. At that time, the William family wouldn't even be afraid of the United States, let alone Qin Feng and the vampires. Qin Feng was stunned. There really was a mole. Qin Feng didn't think there was a mole on his side. Only he, the Dragon Sect, and Li Xingtian knew about this operation. Obviously, the Dragon Sect was not a mole, so how could Li Xingtian be a mole? Qin Feng's mind raced. Suddenly Dracula roared. Ah, Brother Qin Feng, I'm sorry. The mole is General Bai Yongda, who is in charge of the Blood Clan's operation. When Dracula rushed to the door, he saw General Bai Yongda standing among the enemy's troops. It was also because of this reason that Dracula suddenly went crazy. Dracula didn't expect the mole to be his commander. Not only Dracula, but the remaining 20 or so Blood Clan members were also stunned. Let's not talk about this. Let's work together and destroy this research base, even if it costs us our lives. Qin Feng didn't complain. No one wanted to see the situation develop to this stage. Dracula didn't know that General Bai Yongda had betrayed the nation. He was actually a chess piece in this battle between the higher-ups. Roar. Brooke elites, it's time for you to atone for your sins. Attack. Dracula looked at Qin Feng gratefully. Then he started to pound on the ice wall again. Everyone tried their best to break the ice wall. But there were 30 or so mutants taking turns to repair the ice wall. They couldn't break it in a short time. Master, the flaming golden eagle wants to fight. Little Pig's anxious voice sounded. Qin Feng was stunned. What's the use of releasing the flaming golden eagle? Master, the flaming golden eagle's hidden skill, Gale Flame, has been awakened. You can release it to try. Qin Feng had fused 4 battle pets. Flaming golden eagle, glacial snow mastiff, Pikachu and black tortoise. The black tortoise was undoubtedly powerful. After awakening its hidden skill, Tsunami Roar, it became the overlord of the sea. The glacial snow mastiff, and the flaming golden eagle's normal skills, were Frost Spike and Death Flame respectively. These 2 battle pets also had awakened skills. The glacial snow mastiff's awakened skill was Fury, but it hadn't awakened yet. The flaming golden eagle's awakened skill was Gale Flame. But Little Pig said it had awakened. Screech. Qin Feng commanded the flaming golden eagle to descend from the sky. Its huge body filled half of the room. The flaming golden eagle screeched excitedly. This stupid bird never learned to keep a low profile. Li Xingtian, Dracula, and the others were so shocked that they forgot to smash the ice wall. Everyone be careful. This is probably a monster raised by the William family. Let's kill it together. Dracula reacted quickly and punched the flaming golden eagle's head. The flaming golden eagle's eyes were burning with anger. It looked like it was going to fight. Qin Feng's mouth twitched and he quickly shouted, "Don't fight. This is my pet." Time seemed to stop for a few seconds. Everyone was stunned and looked at the flaming golden eagle, as if they had dementia. How could this be called a pet? Dracula immediately retracted his fist and landed beside Qin Feng. Brother Qin Feng, what's going on? Everyone was confused by the flaming golden eagle's appearance. Qin Feng didn't have time to explain how the flaming golden eagle appeared. Although everyone was curious, no one was in the mood to ask at such a critical moment. Everyone move aside. Let my little pet smash the wall. Everyone's mouth twitched, and they quickly retreated behind the flaming golden eagle. The flaming golden eagle was a little dissatisfied with Dracula, and even glared at him. Golden Eagle, it's up to you, Qin Feng said to the flaming golden eagle telepathically. The flaming golden eagle became serious. It opened its mouth and screeched continuously. Suddenly, its huge wings spread open, and a strong wind instantly blew. It felt like a typhoon. What's going on outside? General Baiyangda's scream came from inside the ice wall. In fact, Qin Feng almost laughed when he heard the general's name. This person's name was indeed in line with his behavior. Don't worry, General Baiyangda. It must be that kid named Qin Feng who is playing tricks outside. That guy is very cunning. Let's ignore them. As long as we hold on for another 5 minutes, the 8 level 6 mutants will appear. By then, those little bastards will all die. Prince William began to comfort General Baiyangda. No matter what happened outside, Prince William would not open the ice wall. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The flaming golden eagle's cry was like thunder. It flapped its wings continuously, forming a whirlpool in the room. If Qin Feng didn't use his inner chi to protect everyone, they would have been blown away by this gust of wind. After a few dozen screeches, the flaming golden eagle's body was already suspended in mid-air. It let out another ear-piercing screech, and its body shook violently. A huge fireball shot out and directly smashed onto the ice wall. Rumble! The fireball was as huge as the ice wall in front of them. The intense burning flames instantly covered the entire wall. What's going on? The ice wall can't be broken. Everyone hold on. The ice wall shook violently. There were a few cracks on the top, and Prince William's angry shout became much clearer. Oh no, there seems to be a monster over there. We can't hold on for much longer. Chapter 967. Dracula and the rest were stunned. Even Qin Feng was shocked. It was also Qin Feng's first time witnessing the flaming golden eagle's awakening skill. This gale flame skill was so powerful that it instantly created a hole in the upper layer of the ice wall. However, the flaming golden eagle was just the beginning. It flapped its wings violently and shot out balls of fire from its wings. The golden eagle's mouth was still wide open, and fireballs kept shooting out from its mouth. 3 balls of fire flew out fiercely. They were as fast as lightning under the gale. The power of the flames also increased by more than 10 times under the gale. It felt like it was almost as powerful as Qin Feng's destructive flame. Rumble! Rumble! Loud noises rang out continuously, and the sound of the flames whistling in the gale could be heard. Dracula and the rest were already dumbfounded. These people were rare blood breeds on Earth, and they also had their own unique abilities. However, after meeting Qin Feng today, Dracula and the rest felt that Qin Feng was the real monster. Such a powerful strange bird. And Qin Feng was keeping it as a pet. Crack, crack, crack. Cracks as dense as a web appeared on the ice wall, followed by a series of subtle crisp sounds. Rumble! The entire ice wall suddenly exploded, and more than 30 ice mutants standing behind the wall fell to the ground. Many of them were directly burned by the fireballs, and some suffered internal injuries and vomited blood. Brothers charge! Qin Feng took the lead, and rushed in the instant the ice wall exploded. Dracula and more than 20 blood breeds came to their senses. They turned into black shadows and covered the entire wall in a breath's time. Prince William and General Baiyangda were dumbfounded. They didn't expect the ice wall to break. Both of them looked at the strange bird with its mouth wide open, and they were so scared that they couldn't speak. A row of soldiers carrying machine guns squatted in the room. These people were also stunned and momentarily forgot to shoot with their machine guns. Swish! 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 Several white lights flashed, and 7 or 8 soldiers fell to the ground. Dracula landed in the middle of the crowd. He had been suppressing his anger for a long time. The sky splitter in his hand continuously chopped at the group of mutants. Swish! Swish! The remaining 20 or so members of the Blood Clan also began to move. These people were like bats, extremely fast and extraordinarily powerful. In what seemed like a few breaths of time, a large number of people from the William family were lying on the ground. Stop them, hurry up and stop them. General Baiyangda came back to his senses and screamed. Prince William pulled General Baiyangda and retreated to the back. The soldiers and metahumans regained their senses and ran to the front to fight. Fight! Give me a good beating. As long as you can hold on for another 2 minutes, a level 6 mutant will be born. Prince William's face turned sinister as he looked at the corpses on the ground. Ta-ta-ta-ta. The soldier on the ground woke up and grabbed his machine gun and started firing wildly. More than a dozen machine guns were aimed at the flaming golden eagle outside the door, and the bullets were like raindrops in an instant. The golden eagle's eyes were spitting fire. It was obvious that it was angered by these people. It opened its mouth and shot out a ball of flame. Rumble! The fireball was so huge that it covered half the space. When the bullets came into contact with the flames, they immediately melted into mist, completely losing the ability to attack. Ah! Fire, fire! Save me, I'm burning, save me! What kind of monster is this? Let's run for our lives. The ball of flame completely disrupted the soldiers' formation. No one dared to lie on the ground and shoot. The dozens of soldiers who were burned were screaming and jumping around. Those who were not burned threw down their machine guns and started to run for their lives. The soldiers were soldiers of the Iron Tank Corps. After all, these people were ordinary people. After witnessing the madness of this battle, they completely lost the confidence to continue fighting. Damn it! Come back here. If anyone dares to run, I'll kill him first. Prince William was furious. He rushed up and punched 2 soldiers who were trying to escape. Suddenly, the arms of the soldiers froze, and in the blink of an eye, ice spikes spread out and pierced the hearts of the 2 soldiers. Instantly they died. The rest of the soldiers who were escaping stopped abruptly. Seeing this bloody scene, they could only raise their machine guns and continue shooting. Ta-ta-ta. Rumble! Rumble! The laboratory was filled with all kinds of sounds. The battle was unusually fierce. Qin Fun and his men were racing against time and did not hold back at all. The soldiers were all ordinary people, so they were quickly burned by the flames of the flaming golden eagle. There were still more than 50 mutants in the room, and they were fighting with Qin Fun and his men. Dracula, there's only 1 minute left. Cover me, I'll destroy the laboratory. Qin Fun's expression became more and more serious. This time, because of the traitor, the plan was seriously delayed. If they could not destroy this laboratory in the last minute, then a level 6 mutant would really appear. Rumble! A loud sound came from behind Qin Fun. Dracula held 2 axes in his hands. His arms, face, and body were covered with blood. Some of it was his, but most of it was the enemy's. Dracula was like a tall and sturdy mountain, blocking in front of Qin Fun. He did not turn his head and said coldly, "Go! I'll help you." Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, more than 10 black shadows flew over. Originally, there were more than 20 members of the Blood Clan, but only 18 were left. Everyone stood in a row, forming a human wall. Including Dracula, there were a total of 19 members of the Blood Clan in front of Qin Fun. Their faces were pale, but their expressions were firm. They stood motionless, waiting for the enemy to attack. Rumble! Several fireballs flew over. The people of the William family were not stupid. They knew that the weakness of the Blood Clan was their weak defense. They were afraid of light, and fire mutants' attacks were the most harmful to them. The fireballs formed a row, but none of the members of the Blood Clan dodged. Everyone held the weapons in their hands to block the fireballs. Even if they were unlucky enough to be hit by the fireballs, they did not take a step back and stood firmly in place. In a short moment, 3 members of the Blood Clan were burned to death. Qin Fun's eyes were red. Qin Fun did not know these members of the Blood Clan. He had only spoken to Dracula, but the spirit of the nobles of the Blood Clan touched Qin Fun's heart. These people were unknown, and were regarded as neither human nor ghost by everyone, but they were secretly protecting everyone. Every one of them was alive, and their lives were precious. They were also a group of monsters, but compared to the evil cultivators of China, the Blood Clan was much more noble. Qin Fun, hurry up! Dracula's right arm was also ignited in flames, but he did not care and let the flames spread. He swung the Sky Splitter axe in his hand, killing a mutant every time. Whoosh! Qin Fun leaped and rushed to the innermost laboratory. Before he left, A ball of ice fell on Dracula's flaming arm, and the flames instantly disappeared. There was a small compartment in the innermost part of the room, and 8 naked bodies were lying in 8 huge containers. It was unknown what those containers were made of, but the front of the containers was transparent glass. These 8 bodies were the 8 level 6 mutants who were about to be born. Qinfen did not hesitate, and swung the Chongling sword in his hand. Rumble! The long sword swung down, bringing with it a blue light, and the whole laboratory began to shake violently. The sword chi fell on one of the containers, and the transparent glass on the outer layer began to crack. Finally, the whole piece exploded into pieces. Bang! The first container exploded, and the test subject inside was also blown to pieces. Qinfen did not stop and swung his sword again. Rumble! Another container exploded, and the loud sound was as if a bomb had gone off. Everyone outside felt the movement in the innermost layer. Dracula looked back, and a gratified smile flashed in his eyes. Not good. The test subject has been destroyed. Kill, kill. Prince William suddenly went crazy. He covered his whole body with a layer of ice armor, ignored the attacks of the blood breeds, and forcibly rushed into the innermost laboratory. The remaining 20 or so mutants also began to go crazy. Everyone released all kinds of abilities without reservation, and the blood breeds gradually fell into a disadvantage. They were small in number, and now there were only 12 people left standing. Rumble! Rumble! Loud noises continued in the laboratory, and Qinfen destroyed 3 test subjects in a few breaths. When he was about to swing his sword again and destroy the 4th test subject, the long sword in his hand suddenly stopped in midair. The sword chi was still condensed on the edge of the sword, and it could not fall down. Whoosh! The icicle pierced through the air, and directly hit Qinfen, who was in a daze, and sent him flying. Qinfen rolled a long distance before he came to a stop, but his eyes were still empty, and he could not come back to his senses. Qinfen, how dare you destroy 3 test subjects? I will make you die a horrible death. Prince William shouted angrily. He guarded the other 5 test subjects, and from time to time, he would look at his watch. The blood breeds outside were stunned. Dracula looked at Qinfen, who was sitting on the ground in a daze, and roared. Qinfen, what are you doing? Pull yourself together. Qinfen could not hear Dracula's voice, and his mind kept replaying the scene he had just seen. Qinfen could not accept this fact. This feeling was as painful as when Su Ruoro suddenly stabbed him in the back during the battle at the Amethyst Dragon Palace. How did this happen? How did this happen? Qinfen, I can't hold on any longer. If you don't destroy the other 5 test subjects, I will haunt you even if I become a ghost. Dracula roared continuously. The blood breeds had reached their physical limits, and their combat power continued to decline. After a while, another 3 blood breeds fell to the ground forever. More and more ability users rushed into the innermost laboratory and formed a line at the entrance, blocking the vampires outside. Now it was the final stage of the experiment, which meant that in a few dozen seconds, a rank 6 ability user would be born. Chapter 968. Time ticked by, and a level 6 ability user was about to be born. Everyone wanted to ask, what happened to Qinfen? Qinfen himself couldn't answer this question. What happened to him? Why did he hesitate when he saw the person lying in the 4th chamber? Qinfen would never have thought that Qin Wudao was lying in there. It was his cousin Qin Wudao. If Qinfen saw Qin Wudao and Qin Shao before the Qin family's martial arts competition, he would have killed them without hesitation. But after the martial arts competition, Qin Shitian told Qinfen many secrets. Qinfen felt that he owed these cousins, and he wanted to make it up to them. He couldn't do anything to Qin Wudao anymore. There were 4 boys and 1 girl in the Qin family's direct line of descent. Excluding Qin Duoer, one of Qinfen's 3 younger brothers was dead, and Qin Yi was Qin Wudao's younger brother. Qinfen didn't want to fight among himself. After all, they were family, and the same blood flowed in their veins. Rumble! Suddenly, a loud noise rang out, waking Qinfen up from his daze. Prince William laughed. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Success! A level 6 ability user is about to be born. This world will belong to the William family in the future. The loud noise came from the 5 experiment cabins. The glass doors of the 5 experiment cabins all exploded, but it wasn't opened by outsiders. Instead, it was the 5 people inside who woke up and broke the experiment cabins themselves. The sounds of intense fighting suddenly stopped. The metahumans of the William family, and the group of blood breeds, had already stopped fighting. Everyone looked at the 5 subjects walking out of the experiment chamber, with completely different expressions on their faces. Success? A level 6 ability user succeeded. The William family members screamed with excitement and joy. Count was depressed, but he didn't blame Qinfen. He guessed that Qinfen must have encountered some trouble. Father Professor Mike, how does everyone feel? Prince William ran to the side of the 5 subjects. This time, the subjects included William Hagen and Professor Mike. The 5 of them were still naked, but they didn't care at all. Moreover, the laboratory was full of men, so there was nothing to hide. William Hagen's eyes flickered with a deep light. He was checking his hands, feet, and body as if this body didn't belong to him. It was a momentary feeling of doubt after a sudden increase in power. Haha, I did it, I really did it. I'm now a level 6 spatial arcanist. I feel like I'm going to explode. Professor Mike screamed. His figure flashed and suddenly disappeared into thin air. He was probably feeling out how powerful he was now. The other 2 level 6 arcanists also screamed. Everyone knew that this experiment was extremely dangerous. Now that they survived and successfully broke through to level 6 arcanists, they were so happy that they could fly to the sky. Qinfen, you're actually here. Haha, just in time. I'm going to kill you to avenge my brother. When Qin Wudao came back to his senses, he immediately saw Qinfen sitting on the ground. With a furious roar, Qin Wudao sent a fireball flying over. Rumble! A level 6 ability user was incomparably powerful, and the speed and intensity of the flames had reached a new peak. Qinfen was stunned for a moment, and the fireball was about to engulf him, when a black shadow flashed by and threw Qinfen away. Hurry up and leave. I'll stop them. Count appeared where Qinfen had been, and his upper body was surrounded by flames. Originally, Qinfen and the others were determined to destroy the experimental base of the level 6 arcanists. But when the rank 6 metahumans appeared, Count lost all hope. He knew that if they continued to fight, they would all die. He wanted to use his life to stop these metahumans, so that Qinfen and the blood tribe could survive. Qinfen, what's wrong? Hurry up and pull yourself together. Li Xingtian had already run in from outside. He no longer cared about his life, and was shaking Qinfen's body. Qinfen suddenly woke up. Looking at Count, who was burned black and had a ferocious expression, Qinfen felt as if his heart had been stabbed several times. This was a battlefield, and there was no room for brotherly love. Whoosh! A ray of ice flew and covered Count's body. Qinfen landed beside Count, and stared at William Hagen and the others. Count was quite injured, but he forced a smile and looked at Qinfen. You've finally become a man. I thought you were so scared that you couldn't stand up just now. Cut the crap. I'll stop them later. You and the Blood Clan scram. Qinfen's face was cold, and his whole body was filled with murderous intent. Count shook his head and said, It's you who should scram. I don't want to see you two anymore. One is so scared that he fell, and the other can't help. Scram. Qinfen and Count scolded each other, but neither of them left. William Hagen and the other level 6 arcanists seemed to have adapted to their new bodies and abilities, and they walked over with a smile. Haha, you're Qinfen? Last time at Kyoto University, you captured my son and killed a member of my William family. We still haven't settled this score. You two should stop arguing. Today, neither of you will be leaving. Both of you will be buried with the dead warriors of the William family. Rumble. Qinfen was a hot-tempered person, and he could not stand the enemy acting cool in front of him. Without a word, Qinfen sent out a ball of destructive fire and slapped Li Xingtian at the same time, pushing Li Xingtian out of the room. Fuck. Elite blood breed. I won't rest until one of us is dead. Count also moved, swinging his sky-splitter axe at Professor Mike. As soon as the axe fell, there was a wind-breaking sound, and Professor Mike disappeared. Ha ha ha. With just a few of you. Ha 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 ha. The room was filled with the laughter of the William family. After successfully advancing to level 6 Arcanists, the William family members were not afraid of Qin Fun and the others. They were not even in a hurry to fight with Qin Fun. Instead, they mocked them with playful expressions. Qin Wudao was very angry. The reason why he joined the William family and carried out dangerous experiments was to wait for this day. When he broke through to level 6, he would kill Qin Fun. Qin Wudao was a dual attribute arcanist, and he had displayed this ability during the Qin family martial arts meet. Qin Fun was trapped by Qin Wudao, and he could only dodge, but he could not attack Qin Wudao. Count and the others were also in danger. The blood breed members were almost completely wiped out, and only Count and the last 5 blood breeds were left fighting with their lives on the line. The level 6 arcanists did not make a move, and it was still the same group of arcanists who were fighting. Golden Condor trapped Qin Wudao. Qin Fun was driven mad, and he leaped into the air with a roar. Qin Wudao then chased after Qin Fun with a fireball. Halfway through, a huge strange bird blocked his head. The light was covered by the flaming golden condor, and it felt like dark clouds were covering the sun. Boom! The golden condor opened its mouth, and a large ball of flame shot out. Qin Wudao quickly stopped, and a layer of ice armor appeared on his body. Qin Fun did not care about the fight here. He was in the air, and he looked around. His eyes were brighter than the stars, and he quickly found Prince William. The Chongling sword bloomed with blue light, and Qin Fun used his inner qi to slash down. The substantial sword qi was surging and majestic, and it was so fast that it was dazzling. Prince William did not feel the approaching danger, and his whole body suddenly exploded from between his eyebrows. Bang, bang, bang. The explosions continued. When everyone came to their senses, Prince William was already gone, and all that was left was a pool of blood and flesh on the ground. Ah, my son is gone. William Hagen went crazy, and he threw himself into the pool of blood and fumbled around. But Prince William was dead, and it was impossible for him to come back to life. Boom! At the same time, Count swung his axes, and the air exploded. These 2 axes chopped down on General Bayangda's head. You traitor, go to hell and receive your punishment. Bayangda's eyes were filled with fear, and before he could scream, he was already blown into pieces. In an instant, 2 important people were killed, and the people of the William family went completely crazy. Qin Fun, I'm going to tear you into pieces. Professor Mike let out a strange cry and disappeared on the spot. Qin Fun was about to move and change his position, but before he could put any force into his feet, a violent gust of wind suddenly came from behind him. Bang! Professor Mike appeared, and he slapped Qin Fun's back. Qin Fun was now in a laboratory, and the laboratory was smashed out of shape. Go! Kill this group of bastards and cut them into minced meat. William Hagen roared, and the other 2 level 6 mutants also attacked. One of them was a lightning mutant, and the other was a wind mutant. In the already chaotic room, several bolts of lightning suddenly struck down from the void. The 5 members of the Bloodlings were fighting the other ability users, and in a moment of carelessness, they were struck into charred black and fell to the ground, unable to get up. The battle was fierce, but it had turned into a one-sided situation. The 30-plus members of the Blood clan that Count brought with him were all sacrificed. In the laboratory, only Count, Qin Fun, and a strange bird were left. Li Xingtian was in despair. He wanted to help, but he was powerless. Footsteps came from outside the laboratory. It turned out that the soldiers of the Iron Tank Corps had discovered the commotion, and they brought a few hundred fully armed soldiers to help. Everything seemed to be over. Count threw away the sky splitter axe in his hand and gave up fighting. He sat on the ground, hugging a few of the recently dead descendants of the Blood clan, and waited for death to come. Qin Fun, who was trapped in the laboratory, jumped up. He looked at the scene in front of him, and it seemed like a war had broken out. Qin Fun was furious, and his eyes turned bloodshot. The plan could have been completed, but because of his personal reasons, he had delayed destroying the laboratory for more than 10 precious seconds. Qin Fan felt very guilty, and he was going to go all out. Shimen Chui Shua. Fight! Rumble! A muffled clap of thunder rang out in the void as Shimen Chui Shua descended from the sky, his white robes fluttering in the wind. The unremarkable black scabbard sword in his hand lightly slashed, and the 6 ability users who were charging at Dracula were directly cut in half at the waist. Ouyang Feng. Fight! Roar! An angry roar echoed, as if someone had released a beast that had been locked up for a long time. Chapter 969. The battlefield suddenly fell into silence, and the atmosphere became very strange. William Hagen and Professor Mike looked at Shimen Chui Shua and Ouyang Feng in astonishment. They could not figure out where these two came from. Dracula was dumbfounded. He picked up the sky splitter from the ground, looked at Shimen Chui Shua who saved his life, and asked, "Brother, where are you from?" Shimen Chui Shua rolled his eyes at Dracula. With his cold arrogance, he did not answer Dracula's question. Everyone was still in a daze, but this was just the beginning. Glacial Snow Mastiff. Fight! Qin Fan roared again. He had decided to fight to the death and unleash all his trump cards. Qin Fan wanted to see how powerful a rank 6 paranormal was. Was he stronger than the Hedonist sovereign system? Roar! This time it was the roar of a beast. When the Glacial Snow Mastiff appeared out of thin air, everyone cried out in surprise. There was already a monster bird that could spit fire, and now there was a ferocious wolf. Berserk Core activate. Sky Splitter activate. Justice Aura Metal activate. Killer Book activate. Demonic Roar activate. Qin Fan kept roaring, but no one knew what he was yelling about. Dracula even thought that Qin Fan was scared out of his wits. Qin Fan ignored everyone's stares and unleashed the demonic roar. The roar was like thunder, piercing through the air and shaking the entire underground laboratory. The demonic roar was very demonic. The eyes of the paranormals and soldiers in the laboratory started to lose focus. However, the demonic roar had its drawbacks. It would attack everyone. Even Dracula, Li Xingtian, and his 2 battle pets were bewitched. Shimen Chui Shua and Ouyang Feng were strong enough to resist the temptation. William Hagen, Professor Mike, and Qin Wudao were confused. But the 5 rank 6 paranormals had strong spiritual power. They were still conscious, and seemed to be fighting against the demonic roar. The demonic roar consumed a lot of inner chi. Seeing that it was about time, Qin Fan flew up and shouted, "Kill them!" Clang! Qin Fan was dressed in the purple thunder wild robe. He held the Spiritrush sword in one hand, and the Bloodthirst blade in the other. Just as the long sword was about to pierce the throat of a level 6 Arcanist, the fellow with the wind attribute suddenly sobered up. His figure flashed, and turned into a gust of wind that dissipated. Dracula came back to his senses, and immediately raised his Sky Splitter axe to chop down. However, he was stunned to find that the Sky Splitter axe in his hand had become as big as 2 wheels. Ouyang Feng and Shimen Chui Shua each attacked a rank 6 metahuman. The flaming golden eagle was still engaged in a fierce battle with Qin Wudao, while the Glacial Snow Mastiff ran to the door of the outer room to guard it. The place was filled with gunshots, and the rain-like bullets were blocked by the Glacial Snow Mastiff's ice thorns. An extremely tough ice wall blocked the hundreds of soldiers, preventing them from entering. What was originally a situation of certain death had a shocking reversal in an instant. The 4 of them, and the flaming golden eagle, were enough to deal with William Hagen and the other 4 level 6 metahumans. The Glacial Snow Mastiff was responsible for blocking the soldiers outside and protecting Li Xingtian at the same time. Puffed, puffed. Like a ghost, Qin Feng's silhouette floated around the laboratory. The Bloodthirst blade in his hand was dark red, as if it was flowing blood. The dagger rose and fell, and the dozen metahumans in the laboratory were defenseless. Their bodies were as soft as tofu under the Bloodthirst blade, and they were instantly sliced into pieces by Qin Feng. The red glow on the Bloodthirst blade grew brighter, and Qin Feng's aura skyrocketed. After activating the killer book, Qin Feng had killed his way to the next level, and his strength was now 5 times stronger than before. How dare you kill my William family members? Die! A gust of wind rose behind Qin Feng. It was the level 6 wind elemental metahuman charging at him. Wind elemental metahumans were fast to begin with, and a level 6 metahuman was even faster. Qin Feng didn't even have the chance to turn around before he was smashed by the wind elemental metahuman's fist. Brat, you're courting death. Dracula roared and swung his battle axe at Qin Feng. The Sky Splitter Axe's ability was activated, and the battle axe was even bigger than a wheel. A giant dragon whizzed past, piercing through the air. Rumble! The Sky Splitter Axe fell to the ground, and a huge crater was formed. The wind elemental metahuman disappeared, and appeared beside Qin Feng in the blink of an eye. Qin Feng, who was lying on the ground, saw a gust of wind, and a dagger flashing with cold light flying toward him. Qin Feng didn't have time to think, and a purple lightning struck down from the sky. Crack! The lightning flashed, and the wind elemental metahuman finally appeared. He obviously didn't expect Qin Feng to be able to use lightning, and his body was directly struck by the purple lightning. His body was charred like charcoal, and black smoke rose from his head. Swish! Qin Feng didn't stop. He waved his right hand, and a white light flashed and shot toward the metahuman's throat. Suddenly, a strange energy rippled in the air. The wind elemental metahuman couldn't dodge Qin Feng's wind blade attack, but his body suddenly disappeared and landed beside Professor Mike. The battle was extremely fierce. Qin Feng and Dracula stood back to back, and the two were fighting Professor Mike and the wind elemental metahuman. On the other side, Ouyang Feng was fighting William Hagen, and Shimen Chueshua was staring at the level 6 lightning elemental metahuman. Crack! Lightning flashed everywhere, and it seemed like it never stopped. But this was not the lightning released by Qin Feng's Purple Thunder Wild Robe, but the attack of the level 6 lightning elemental metahuman. Shimen Chueshua couldn't stop his feet, and every time he landed, there would be a bolt of lightning behind him. Who the hell are you? My William family has no enmity with you. Why are you looking for trouble with us? William Hagen questioned. The Ouyang Feng he was fighting was too strong, and it made William Hagen impatient. Boom! Ouyang Feng didn't waste any time, and replied with an iron fist. Ouyang Feng was a Stage 10 external expert and Stage 1 true Qi realm, so he was simply too powerful. William Hagen didn't have time to react after the punch, and his whole body was sent flying. Ouyang Feng followed like a shadow, and just as his foot was about to land, William Hagen, who had sunk into the ground, suddenly disappeared. That monster is too strong. My ability is useless against him. Mike, you go stop him. William Hagen appeared beside Professor Mike, and was once again saved by Professor Mike's space arcana. There was a tremor in the air, and Mike disappeared. When he reappeared, he was standing behind Ouyang Feng. Boom! Ouyang Feng's strength exceeded Mike's expectations. He didn't have time to attack, and Ouyang Feng's fist was already inches away. Another spatial tremble, and Mike disappeared. This guy's ability was too despicable. Back at Jindu University, he made Qin Feng choke with anger. There were some small changes in the battle team, but the battle situation was like heaven and earth. Out of the 5 ability users, 4 displayed their ability elements, but no one knew the type of William Hagen's ability. Mike and Ouyang Feng fought, and Qin Feng focused on William Hagen. But every time he was about to hit William Hagen, he found that there was a wall in front of him, and William Hagen was standing behind Qin Feng. Bang! Qin Feng once again stabbed the abandoned experiment module. Then he was hit by William Hagen's palm on his back. Qin Feng immediately turned around and gave chase, stabbing the ceiling with his sword. Brother Qin Feng, are you nearsighted? Why don't you wear contact lenses to fight? Count was confused by Qin Feng. One moment, Qin Feng was stabbing the wall, and the next moment, he was hitting the ground. Was this guy doing something stupid again? Qin Feng was even more depressed than Dracula. He had clearly seen William Hagen attack, but every time his attack landed, the scene in front of him would suddenly change. It wasn't what he had seen at all. Master, William Hagen is very likely an illusion ability user. He can create illusions, so what Master sees is fake. Little Pig's voice sounded, and Qin Feng immediately understood. This time, Qin Feng was depressed. William Hagen was a rank 6 illusion ability user. How could he fight him? Ouyang Feng, you deal with William Hagen. Qin Feng didn't chase William Hagen anymore. He leaped to stab Professor Mike. Ouyang Feng had beaten William Hagen before, and Qin Feng thought that Ouyang Feng must have a way to break illusions. Master, I forgot to tell you. That old guy can set up illusions, but under my realm, his illusions are useless. Ouyang Feng shouted at Qin Feng. Then, he waved his fist and punched William Hagen. William Hagen immediately put on a mournful face. His illusions were only effective against martial artists below the true Qi stage. It really could not confuse Ouyang Feng. Bang 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 bang. The laboratory was filled with loud noises. Among everyone, Count was the weakest. That wind ability user was not easy to deal with. His speed was even faster than Count, the Count of the blood breed. Count persisted for a while, but he began to fall into a disadvantage. From time to time, he was hit by the ability user, and his black tights were torn to pieces. Qin Feng, go to hell and atone for my brother. A black shadow flew over. Qin Wudao landed in front of Qin Feng with one hand covered in ice and the other in flames. Qin Feng quickly looked at the flaming golden eagle. The golden eagle had lost its previous majesty. It was lying on the ground with its last breath, and it seemed like it couldn't stand up anymore. Qin Wudao, don't force me. Qin Feng was furious. He moved his mind and recalled the flaming golden eagle back into the system. Don't be so arrogant. You are no match for me now. Qin Wudao seemed to be possessed. When he saw Qin Feng, his eyes spewed fire. He punched with both fists, and flames and ice flew out. Qin Feng didn't want to fight with Qin Wudao, but the situation was beyond his control. The destructive fire and extreme ice flew out, and collided with Qin Wudao's attack in midair. Bang! The sound of thunder and lightning was still echoing. Shimenchui Shui was beaten to a sorry state. After these two heroes were released, they were affected by the Earth's magnetic field, and their strength kept declining. Ouyang Feng had the support of Stage 10 external technique, so he wasn't afraid. Shimenchui Shui was an inner Qi cultivator, and he had fallen to Stage 8 inner Qi. Chapter 970. Come back. Qin Feng couldn't stand it anymore. With a thought, Shimenchui Shui also returned to the system. Without the help of two experts, Qin Feng's team was at a disadvantage. Pa pa pa. The lightning ability users who managed to find an opening began to attack Dracula. Several bolts of lightning struck down, directly charring Dracula's insides. He fell to the ground and found it very difficult to get up. Only Qin Feng and Ouyang Feng were left on the battlefield. Ouyang Feng was being held back by Professor Mike and William Hagen, so he couldn't protect himself for a while. The remaining 3 mutants surrounded Qin Feng. No matter how strong Qin Feng was, he couldn't withstand such a fierce attack. Rumble, crackle, the destructive fire, and the purple thunder wild robes lightning bolts struck everywhere. Qin Feng was still swinging the Chongling sword in his hand, but he was still being beaten. He was beaten from Qin Wudao to the other 2 mutants. Where's the lightning? Qin Feng didn't know how many times he got up from the ground. Just as he was about to release lightning, he found that it was gone. Master, the purple thunder wild robe's lightning ability has been turned off. It can only be used for half an hour every day. At the same time, the Heaven Splitter Axe's Heaven Splitter ability has been turned off, and the Righteous Halo emblem has also been turned off. Bad news came one after another, and the battle seemed to have fallen into a situation of certain death. Without the lightning ability and the righteous aura of the Righteous Halo emblem, Qin Feng's strength dropped drastically. Under the attacks of the 3 mutants, he was repeatedly injured. Little Pig, what can you buy with 80,000 hedonist points in the system? Hurry up and buy it to torture them. Qin Feng panicked. This battle was not only for his survival, but also for his honor. 30 or so blood breed elites had died, Dracula had fallen, and no one knew if he was dead or alive. The flaming golden eagle and Shimen Chui Shui were heavily injured. Qin Feng had to get his revenge. Master, 80,000 hedonist points isn't enough to buy an item that can defeat 5 rank 6 mutants. However, Master still has a purple equipment drawing scroll that you haven't used yet, so you can try your luck. Master also has 5 bullets for the Trial Thunder sniper rifle, so you can kill them when they're unprepared. The situation was dire, and Qin Feng had forgotten a lot of things, including the Trial Thunder sniper rifle. Qin Feng's eyes suddenly lit up when Little Pig mentioned it. Draw scroll first. With a thought, the random drawing scroll for purple equipment disappeared from the system. This lucky draw ticket was the system's reward for completing the Forging a Purple Spirit Weapon mission. The purple spirit weapon he forged was the Purple Thunder Wild Robe, Black Tortoise Shield Equipment Grade. Purple, high-grade equipment introduction. Forged from the shell of the ancient divine beast, the Black Tortoise. The shield is indestructible. Hidden attribute, Raging Cry. The Black Tortoise shield could be activated once a day with a time limit of half an hour. Once activated, the shield would emit sound waves that would slow down the surrounding objects. System price, 200,000 hedonist points. The purple equipment lottery scroll gave him a shield. Qin Feng didn't have time to carefully look at the Black Tortoise shield's introduction. With a thought, a tortoise shell-shaped shield engraved with profound runes appeared in his hand. Pa! Just as Dracula fell to the ground, a bolt of lightning struck down from the sky. Qin Feng's figure flashed, and he raised his Black Tortoise shield and stood beside Count. Pa pa pa! The lightning struck the Black Tortoise shield in all directions. The Black Tortoise shield emitted a dark brown light. The lightning flashed and exploded on the shield, but the Black Tortoise shield was completely unharmed. Qin Feng, why you should leave? Count wasn't dead yet, but he was on the verge of death. He didn't forget to persuade Qin Feng to leave. Qin Feng took out a healing pill and stuffed it into Count's mouth. He grabbed Count and threw him to Li Xingtian. The glacial snow mastiff was still repairing the extreme ice wall. Qin Feng leaped and blocked the entrance of the laboratory. He held the giant Black Tortoise shield and hid his entire body under it. The Chongling sword in his hand disappeared and turned into a fiery red spear of rat halos. Qin Feng's Purple Thunder Wild Robe also changed into a blood-red Blood Demon armor. The Blood Demon armor had been activated by Qin Feng. Black Tortoise shield, long spear, Blood Demon armor. William Hagen and the others were stunned by Qin Feng's quick change of equipment. Fuck. This brat is really an unkillable cockroach. Ham Caddy, you guys go and kill him. William Hagen roared. The 2 level 6 mutants with the wind and lightning attributes rushed toward Qin Feng. Suddenly, thunder and lightning appeared in the sky, accompanied by a strong wind. The thunder and lightning became more powerful in the wind, as if it was going to destroy the world. Ouyang Feng was frightened. He felt that his master couldn't block such a fierce attack. Ouyang Feng wanted to come and help, but he was entangled with William Hagen, Professor Mike, and Qin Wudao. Master, Shimen Chui Shui wants to fight again. Ayo, ayo, ayo. Shimen Chui Shui and the flaming golden eagle asked to fight again. Even Little Pig waved its paw and wanted to help. Qin Feng naturally wouldn't let them out again. That would only send them to their deaths. Activate the Roar of Fury function. Qin Feng roared in his mind. Boom. The Black Tortoise shield, which was as tall as Qin Feng, suddenly exploded. It expanded rapidly and became the size of a large door in front of Qin Feng. Bang 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 bang. Pa 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 pa. The wind and lightning fell, and all hit the Black Tortoise shield. But the Black Tortoise shield didn't change at all. The dense runes on the shield flickered, as if it absorbed all the attacks. What's going on? It's just a broken turtle shell. I don't believe it can't pierce through you. The lightning and wind attribute mutants were stunned for a moment. Then they launched a second round of fierce attacks. The wind, thunder, and lightning mixed together. Qin Feng's half of the space was like it was the end of the world. The loud noises were endless. But the Black Tortoise shield didn't change. It was like a towering mountain. No matter how the wind, rain, thunder, and lightning attacked, it didn't move an inch. Ham and Caddy's expressions changed. They were stunned by the power of the black tortoise shield. This thing was really fucking hard. Boom boom boom. Qin Feng was also stunned by the black tortoise shield's toughness. After a short moment of shock, Qin Feng waved the rat halo's spear and started to counterattack. Fire rained down from the sky. Ham and Caddy started to run in all directions. Qin Feng could finally catch his breath. Without saying anything, the rat halo's spear in his hand turned into a sniper rifle. The trial version of the Thunder Sniper Rifle appeared in Qin Feng's hand. It was a dazzling sniper rifle that was about 1,500 millimeters long. The barrel was 900 millimeters long. The body of the rifle emitted a dark blue light. It emitted a calm, cold, and dangerous aura. The battle equipment produced by Star Technology was very powerful. So far, Qin Feng had only used the Starlight boxing gloves. Chapter 971. The trial version of the Thunder Sniper Rifle had a total of 5 bullets, and Qin Feng had not used any of them. The maximum shooting range of this sniper rifle was 5,000 meters, and its firing speed was 10 times faster than a normal sniper rifle. Qin Feng rested the trial version of the Thunder Sniper Rifle on his shoulder. Suddenly, an automatic sight appeared before him. Master, many of the combat suits produced by Star Technology are intelligent. This Thunder Sniper Rifle can automatically aim at the nearest object. Master only needs to wait for the right time to fire, Little Pig explained. Rumble. As soon as Little Pig finished speaking, Qin Feng pulled the trigger. A ray of blue light flashed like a bolt of lightning. The air in front of Qin Feng was torn apart. Before Qin Feng could see what was going on, the lightning ability user was shot and exploded in midair. Rumble. Deafening explosions resounded, and blood splattered everywhere. The atmosphere froze in an instant. The few people who were fighting all stopped. William Hagen and the others were flabbergasted when they saw the blood and flesh falling from the sky, and the blood on the ground. Did Caddy's body explode? He's a rank 6 lightning ability user. Ouyang Feng was stunned for a moment, but he quickly regained his composure and immediately seized the opportunity to punch the wind attribute ability user. Rumble. Ham was still in a daze. He did not dodge this time and was stuck in the wall. Qin Feng did not stop. He quickly changed the direction of the Thunder Sniper Rifle and fired at Ham. Bang! The recoil of the Thunder Sniper Rifle was so strong that Qin Feng's body leaned backward. His arm was still sore and numb. The blue light flashed again and disappeared in a flash. No one could tell its trajectory. In the next second, Ham, who was stuck in the wall, exploded and collapsed along with the wall. William Hagen and Professor Mike were stupefied. The originally sure-win situation was suddenly reversed. The two of them stared fearfully at the sniper rifle in Qin Feng's hands. The two of them had never seen this rifle before. Just the cool deep blue design made them feel the power it possessed. Ouyang Feng moved again. This time, he punched Professor Mike into another wall. Qin Feng was already prepared. The instant the microphone fell, Qin Feng prepared to pull the trigger. Professor Mike's eyes were filled with panic, and he was so scared that he couldn't think straight. There was a sudden tremor in the air. Qin Wudao's figure suddenly disappeared, and then appeared in front of Professor Mike. Marshal Dao, get out of the way. Qin Feng jumped in fright. His finger had already pressed down, but the muzzle shifted slightly. A ray of blue light shot out like lightning, and at the same time, Qin Feng slapped out with his palm. Rumble. The shot was a little off, and the wall collapsed with a loud crash. Professor Mike disappeared, and Qin Wudao was sent flying by Qin Feng's wind blade, avoiding the damage caused by the explosion. Qin Feng raised his Thunderbolt sniper rifle and prepared to fire again. Suddenly the air behind him trembled, and a dagger stabbed into Qin Feng's back. Pucci. Professor Mike pulled out his dagger and prepared to stab a second time. Ouyang Feng appeared and punched at Mike. The air trembled again as Mike ran to William Hagen's side. Ouyang Feng stood in front of Qin Feng, his eyes filled with killing intent. Qin Feng's back was bleeding profusely, but he didn't care. Qin Wudao fell to the side with a complicated expression. Qin Wudao, didn't expect Professor Mike to use him as a shield at the critical moment. He also didn't expect Qin Feng to save his life at the moment of life and death. Qin Wudao struggled fiercely in his heart. He would rather be killed by the Thunderbolt sniper rifle. Qin Wudao had always lived in pain. To avenge his brother Qin Yi, he didn't hesitate to kill his own brother. But this wasn't Qin Wudao's original intention. He had no other choice. Why did you save me? I don't need your pity. Qin Wudao lay on the ground and shouted as if he was talking to himself. Qin Feng was his #1 enemy, but Qin Wudao was saved by him. That feeling was worse than death. Ouyang Feng had already moved. He turned into a black shadow and attacked William Hagen. William Hagen's illusion ability was useless against Ouyang Feng. In Ouyang Feng's eyes, William Hagen had become an ordinary person. Bang bang bang. The whole room was filled with loud noises. William Hagen was kicked around by Ouyang Feng like a football. Professor Mike was obviously injured, and his ability had weakened. He wanted to save William Hagen, but he was always a split second slower than Ouyang Feng. Rumble. Qin Feng also made a move. He forcefully used the last of his inner qi in his body and slapped dozens of destructive flames at Professor Mike. The flames covered half the room. Professor Mike quickly changed his position. He couldn't even protect himself now, so he had no time to save William Hagen. Retreat. Take me away. William Hagen was beaten badly. His body was covered in wounds, and he was covered in blood. Professor Mike was powerless. He tried to use his ability to take William Hagen away, but Qin Feng's destructive flames kept pestering him. He couldn't resist at all. The air vibrated, and a figure suddenly shot at Qin Feng. Qin Feng's expression changed. He waved his hand, and the dozens of destructive flames immediately disappeared. Then Qin Wudao's body smashed into Qin Feng. Both of them rolled on the ground a few times before stopping. There was another huge spatial vibration. William Hagen, who was sent flying in the air, suddenly disappeared. Professor Mike also disappeared at the same time. Ouyang Feng's eyes widened as he sensed the breath of the two people in the room. After a while, Ouyang Feng landed beside Qin Feng. Where is he? Qin Feng was exhausted. He leaned against the wall and looked at Ouyang Feng. He ran away. Ouyang Feng answered straightforwardly. There was no breath of William Hagen and Professor Mike in the entire room. Professor Mike probably used his spatial ability and ran outside with the two people. Qin Feng was also helpless about the spatial ability. Even if he chased them now, he wouldn't know where Professor Mike and the others had gone. Qin Feng didn't let Ouyang Feng chase them. The more important thing now was to destroy the experimental base. Go and destroy the laboratory, Qin Feng ordered. Ouyang Feng didn't say anything and ran to the laboratory inside. Then there were continuous loud noises, as if there were explosions in the laboratory. Qin Feng didn't care about the situation in the laboratory. He looked at Li Xingtian and asked, Senior Li, William Hagen and Professor Mike have escaped. Can they cultivate a level 6 Arcanist? No. Li Xingtian shook his head. The experimental process of a level 6 Arcanist is very complicated and strict. It requires special machines and professional experimenters to complete it. Although they escaped, there is no way to create such an experimental base. Without these instruments and equipment, a level 6 Arcanist can't be created. Qin Feng immediately heaved a sigh of relief. The mission this time was not to kill the William family, but to destroy the experimental base. The reason why the William family was a potential threat was that they had mastered the method to cultivate level 6 Arcanists in batches. Now that they only had the method without the experimental base, everything was empty talk. Brother Qin Feng, why you're dead too? How can you die? Count had already woken up from his coma. Looking at the hell-like bloody and cruel environment around him, Count thought everyone was dead. Count, if you want to die, go ahead. Don't drag me down with you. Qin Feng rolled his eyes at Count. Dracula was stunned for a moment before he screamed. What? We're not dead. Could it be that this mission is completed? Qin Feng didn't answer. And he didn't need to answer because Ouyang Feng had destroyed the laboratory inside and walked out. Master, the laboratory is destroyed. Fuck. It's really destroyed. What about the William family? Not good. "Brother Qin Feng, be careful behind you." Count had been unconscious for a long time, so he didn't know what had just happened. Halfway through his shout, his expression suddenly changed, and he swung his fist at Qin Feng's back. Qin Wudao sat there in a daze, and he still hadn't regained his senses. Qin Feng hurriedly struck out with his palm, and a layer of ice blocked in front of Qin Wudao. Bang! Count was seriously injured, and his strength was greatly reduced. His punch only cracked the layer of ice. "Qin Feng, what are you doing?" Count looked at Qin Feng in surprise. "Don't kill him, that's my cousin," Qin Feng explained. "When I was destroying the fourth experimental cabin, I suddenly became distracted because my cousin was lying inside." Everyone was stunned for a moment, and they finally understood. Although Qin Feng's momentary daze resulted in heavy losses in the battle, no one blamed Qin Feng. No matter who it was, seeing their relatives lying in the experimental cabin at that moment, no one could bear to kill them. Suddenly, the glacial snow mastiff's angry roar came from the room. Only then did everyone remember the glacial snow mastiff. They had almost forgotten about it. "Master, the glacial snow mastiff can't hold on any longer," Little Pig said. At the exit, the ice wall gradually became transparent, and the soldiers outside were still firing bullets. Qin Feng thought about how the glacial snow mastiff had held on for so long. It must have been hard on this little guy. "Everyone get out of the way!" Qin Feng roared, and the glacial snow mastiff suddenly disappeared. The ice wall instantly exploded, and the bullets rained down on Qin Feng. But they were instantly melted by the destructive flames Qin Feng had sent out. Boom! Fireballs shot out in all directions, landing on the soldiers. The dozen or so soldiers standing at the front were instantly set on fire, and they screamed in pain as they ran. The flames landed on even more people, and instantly, the hundreds of soldiers panicked and started to run outside. After a fierce battle, the laboratory finally calmed down. However, the mess and corpses all over the ground made people's hearts go cold. Ding! Congratulations, host Qin Feng, for completing the quest Destroy the William family's plan. The system rewards host Qin Feng 200,000 Hedonist points. 1x Ancient Beast Remains Gene. 1x Super Ability Potion. Chapter 972. Brother Qin, let's kill our way out. There must be a lot of soldiers outside. We can't get out. Count and Li Xingtian both looked anxious. Although the laboratory had been destroyed, everyone had been delayed for too long. Escaping now was as difficult as ascending to heaven. Qin Fen had recalled Ouyang Feng into the system. The situation was so critical that Li Xingtian and Count didn't notice the sudden disappearance of their heroes and battle pets. "We can't go through the front door. You guys stay away." Qin Fen pointed the Thunder Sniper rifle at the ceiling. Li Xingtian had seen the power of the Thunder Sniper rifle, so he quickly retreated to the side. Count, who had fainted, stared at the Tyrant Sniper rifle on Qin Fen's shoulder, and reached out to touch it. Boom! A loud noise reverberated in the air. Qin Fen put away the Thunder Sniper rifle, and jumped to the side with Count. Rumble! The loud noises from the roof continued, and the wall on that floor collapsed. Large chunks of concrete smashed into the experimental base, and several deep pits appeared on the ground. Oh my god, what kind of gun is that? Count worked for the U.S. government and had come in contact with many weapons. Moreover, the firearms and weapons in the U.S. were very advanced. However, Count had never seen such a powerful sniper rifle in Qin Fen's hands. The bullet fired seemed to be a blue lightning bolt. Ah! Earthquake! Earthquake! The ground is collapsing. Be careful, everyone. Qin Fen didn't have time to explain to Count. Above the underground base was the flat ground of the iron tank base. Many soldiers standing on the ground fell. Whoosh! 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 White light flashed, and wind blades flew everywhere. The soldiers who fell died before they could figure out what was going on. Qin Fen dragged Li Xingtian and Count to the ground. Then he grabbed Qin Wudao, who was sitting on the ground in a daze. Bastard! I'll show you the power of the Blood Clan. The soldiers on the ground soon noticed the abnormality. Dozens of soldiers nearby rushed over with their guns. Count recovered some of his strength, so he grabbed a machine gun and started shooting. Qin Fan landed on the ground with Qin Wudao in his hand. Around them was a dense crowd, and all of them were rushing over. It seemed like dozens of tanks were driving over, making rumbling noises. Senior Li, go up. Qin Feng released the flaming golden eagle and threw Li Xingtian onto the bird's back. Then he grabbed Qin Wudao and jumped up. He shouted at Count, "Come up quickly." The flaming golden eagle's huge wings had already begun to flap, ready to fly into the sky at any time. Dracula ran toward the golden eagle while shooting. Finally, he jumped onto the back of the golden eagle. "You bunch of grandsons, Grandpa will spare your lives today. Golden eagle, let's go." Chirp. The flaming golden condor screeched angrily and soared into the sky. Many soldiers have rushed to the feet of the golden eagle and began to shoot the golden eagle with their guns. Bang, bang, bang. A series of loud noises came from not far away. There really were more than a dozen tanks coming over. When the tanks saw that Qin Feng and the others were about to escape, they had already aimed at the golden eagle and fired. In the originally dark night sky, there was a spark from time to time. The golden eagle was already a little exhausted. It was accidentally scratched by a cannonball on its wing, and suddenly began to fall to the ground. "Damn it, you're the ones courting death." Qin Feng was so angry that his eyes were spitting fire. He frantically struck out with both hands. The destructive fire immediately lit up the sky and fell down like a rain of fire. Very quickly, there was a series of screams from the ground. The sound was absolutely heart-wrenching. However, the flaming golden eagle was still falling. Qin Feng and the others who were sitting on it felt like they were crashing. "Brother Qin Feng, let this big bird fly away by itself. Let's jump down." Dracula was a little anxious. His eyes were bloodshot, and he wanted to jump down and kill to his heart's content. "Master, the golden eagle said that you guys don't jump. It will fly again soon." Qin Feng's heart ached even more for the golden eagle. He was about to jump down when Little Pig's voice rang in his mind. "Wait a few more seconds. I'll burn them to death with fireballs." If Qin Feng was alone, he would definitely jump down. At most, he would ride the flaming dragon horse and leave. However, he still had to take care of Li Xingtian and the others. Qin Feng could only grit his teeth and continue to send out the destructive fire. The flames smashed into the ground and created deep pits. However, the destructive fire didn't extinguish. The deep pits burned with raging flames. The scene was as spectacular as a war. The soldiers surrounding them were all scared away. Only a dozen or so tanks were firing at the sky from afar. The flaming golden eagle was still falling. It looked like it was going to crash into the ground. Screech. A long screech. The flaming golden eagle was like a fighter plane. It flew close to the ground and started to fly at a low altitude. After flying for a while, it started to sprint. In the blink of an eye, it was already hundreds of meters in the air. The cannons below continued to sound. However, the flaming golden eagle had already flown far away. Even the tanks couldn't hit it. Instead, two fighter planes caught up from behind. Fuck. The people in the Iron Tank Corps have gone crazy. When I escape, I'll definitely teach them a lesson. Dracula was so angry that he screamed. Li Xingtian's face was full of worry. He felt that tonight was like a Hollywood spy movie. Qin Wudao still looked half dead. Those who didn't know would definitely think that he was retarded. Boom. Qin Feng stood behind the flaming golden eagle and continuously shot out fireballs. The two fighter planes were extremely good at dodging and avoided Qin Feng's attacks time and time again. Whoosh! Qin Feng couldn't hit them with fireballs, so he shot out polar ice. The polar ice formed an ice wall in the sky, forcing the two fighter planes to deviate from their tracks. They were getting further and further away. Dracula had already started to make a phone call. He shouted a lot of words in English, and then shouted excitedly at Qin Feng. "Quick, fly in the direction of the Watson Hotel. Our reinforcements are coming from there." Qin Feng conveyed the message to the flaming golden eagle. The golden eagle changed direction and began to sprint. The wind howled in his ears. Qin Feng was fine because of the blood demon armor, but Li Xingtian and the other two were blown by the wind until tears and snot flowed nonstop. After flying for an unknown period of time, the two fighter planes behind them disappeared. Qin Feng looked at the Watson Hotel and let the flaming golden eagle land. Brother Qin Feng, where's that big bird? Oh, two brothers and a wild wolf are also missing. Let's hurry back and save them. As soon as the flaming golden eagle landed, Qin Feng put it back into the system. Dracula finally came back to his senses. He finally remembered Shimen Chueshua and the others. Yeah, where are the two brothers? Li Xingtian also came back to his senses. They've already left, don't worry. As for the flying bird and the wild wolf, they're my pets. These two pets are very special, and I don't want others to know about their existence. I hope you can help me keep it a secret. Qin Feng landed early, because he didn't want the Americans to see the flaming golden eagle. Who knew if they would use the flaming golden eagle for research? The sound of hurried footsteps could be heard. Qin Feng and the others looked up and saw that the American reinforcements had arrived. Who's in front? Put your hands on your head and squat on the ground, or else I'll shoot. There were more than 100 fully armed special forces, and there were dozens of military SUVs parked around them. I'm Prince Dracula, we're on the same side. Dracula hurriedly shouted, General, it's Prince Dracula. Hurry up and bring them over. Dozens of fully armed special forces rushed up and surrounded Qin Feng and the others to protect them as they went to an SUV. There was a row of high-ranking American politicians in suits and leather shoes standing there. Prince Dracula, are you okay? Where are the other elites of the Blood Clan? A white-haired old man came up and hugged Dracula. Dracula had maintained the image of a tough man who wasn't afraid of death from the start of tonight's operation up until now. But now he was crying. General Enzo, we were betrayed by General Bayangda. The other vampire descendants have all been sacrificed. The white-haired old man's eyes bulged, and he was so angry that his face turned red. That bastard Bayangda, where is he? I'll go to the White House to look for the president and ask him to remove Bayangda's military rank. There's no need to go through so much trouble. He's already dead, Dracula said. By the way, has the laboratory been destroyed? Who are these people? General Enzo thought of something more important. After crying for a while, Dracula returned to normal. General Enzo, the mission was successfully completed. The William family's underground laboratory was successfully destroyed, but 2 rank 6 mutants escaped. These 3 are friends of China, especially this one. He's Brother Qin Feng, who cooperated with us in this operation. Dracula solemnly introduced Qin Feng, and the surrounding high-ranking American politicians looked at Qin Feng with respect. Everyone was speaking in English, but Qin Feng could understand them. You're Qin Feng from China's Dragon Sect. Nice to meet you. I'm General Enzo. I apologize to you and your friends on behalf of America for putting you in such a difficult situation. Qin Feng shook Enzo's hand and said, General Enzo, you don't have to be so polite. This time, it's all thanks to the Blood Clan. They're the real heroes. Qin Feng gave all the credit to Dracula, and Dracula looked at Qin Feng gratefully. This time, more than 30 elites of the Blood Clan were sacrificed. Dracula needed this honor, and he wanted to give it to his dead descendants. Little brother Qin Feng, don't worry. You've helped America greatly this time. I'll report this to the president and apply for the merit you deserve. Qin Feng didn't go to stop the William family's plan for America's merit. His main purpose was to save Li Xingtian and complete the system mission. Now that the mission was completed, Qin Feng didn't need to continue staying in America. His women were still waiting for him in China, and Qin Feng wanted to go back and reunite with them immediately. General Enzo, Brother Dracula, I'll take my leave first. See you later. Qin Feng left as soon as he said he would. He pulled Li Xingtian and Qin Wudao and disappeared into the night. Qin Feng's speed was extremely fast. By the time Dracula and General Enzo came to their senses, Qin Feng was already gone. Salute! General Enzo yelled in the direction that Qin Feng had left. The hundreds of Special Forces soldiers and dozens of high officials solemnly saluted in that direction. Chapter 973. The mission of the William family was completed. As for how the U.S. would deal with the Iron Tank Corps, how to deal with the escaping Professor Michael and William Hagen, had nothing to do with Qin Feng. Qin Feng led Li Xingtian and Qin Wudao out of the Hong Kong International Airport. A row of beauties was waiting for him outside. Qin Feng, you're back. Big brother Qin Feng, I missed you so much. Come and give me a hug. The ladies surrounded Qin Feng as soon as he stepped into the arrival hall. The ladies who were filming with Qin Feng in the U.S. were waiting for him in Hong Kong. These women were all outstanding beauties. They had been waiting here for a while, and had long attracted the attention of all the men in the surroundings. There were still a few men in the crowd who wanted to come up and strike up a conversation with the women. However, after seeing this scene, everyone was extremely envious of Qin Feng. Li Xingtian always boasted that he had found a good son-in-law in the U.S. However, he regretted it as soon as he arrived in Hong Kong. Qin Feng was too much of a playboy. As there were too many women around, Zhang Kuka stepped on Li Xingtian's foot out of excitement. She even pushed Li Xingtian to the side. Li Xingtian was furious. Qin Wudao was still in a daze. He did not say a word during the entire flight. Ah, Qin Feng, why your face? Ma Xinxin suddenly covered her mouth and pointed at Qin Feng in disbelief. The other ladies regained their senses and stared at Qin Feng as if they had seen a ghost. At this moment, the sunlight shone on Qin Feng's face. It was a handsome face with distinct facial features. When Qin Feng returned, he had restored his original appearance. It was not that he had dissolved the true qi that the mystical dragon had applied to his face, but that Qin Feng had bought a mask that looked like himself to wear. I knew my original appearance was too handsome. Look at how excited you guys are. Should I change back? The ladies were startled and shook their heads like a rattle drum. They preferred Qin Feng's original appearance because they knew him, because of his original appearance. I'm leaving. The flirting scene was enviable. Li Xingtian was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Qin Wudao, who had been silent all this while, suddenly walked up to him and muttered to himself. Then he turned around and left. Where are you going? Qin Feng pulled Qin Wudao back. I haven't decided yet. Qin Wudao was a man of few words. Why are you leaving? Why should I stay? Qin Wudao asked. Qin Feng pulled Qin Wudao and turned around. He stared into his eyes and said, Come with me to the provincial capital. Qin Wudao trembled. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Qin Wudao did not agree, but Qin Feng knew that he would not leave. Haha, brother Qin Feng, I know you're returning today, so I came over to welcome you. Qin Feng and the others walked out of the airport lobby and were stunned as soon as they arrived outside. On the street, there were 2 rows of muscular men dressed in red tang suits, and then there were 3 Mercedes-Benz parked on the side. They were all from the Hong sect. Hong Kong was the territory of the Hong sect. Ao Wuchang came to Qin Feng in a handsome white suit. Qin Feng walked up to Ao Wuchang and gave him a hug. When the 2 of them let go, Ao Wuchang suddenly punched Qin Feng in the chest. Qin Feng reacted quickly and collided with Ao Wuchang's fist. Ao Wuchang staggered back 3 steps. Qin Feng didn't move an inch. Li Xingtian and the ladies were startled. Weren't Qin Feng and Ao Wuchang brothers? Why did they suddenly fight? Ao Wuchang let out a hearty laugh. Ha ha ha. Brother Qin Feng, you have improved a lot. I need to cultivate harder. Otherwise, I won't be able to keep up with you. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. It turned out that Ao Wuchang had sparred with Qin Feng. Leader Wuchang, you have also improved a lot. Qin Feng wasn't being polite. After 2 months, Ao Wuchang's strength had indeed improved a lot. Let's go. Let's all go to the Hong sect. Let's spar later. Those little bastards won't stand a chance against me. Ao Wuchang glanced at the disciples of the Hong sect on both sides of the street. Those disciples were frowning and thought that they would have to work overnight to mend the hole. Qin Feng and the others went to Hong sect. Ao Wuchang had already prepared a welcoming banquet. This was Ao Xiaowan's territory. She helped Qin Feng take care of the guests like a little wife. She was as busy as a diligent bee. Ao Wuchang didn't usually see his sister so obedient. Every time Qin Feng came, his sister would immediately change into a different person. Ever since he was crippled in the Battle of the Divine Dragon Mountain, Qin Feng hadn't returned to the capital in Hero City for more than 2 months. Qin Feng only stayed in Hong Kong for a day. The next day, he brought everyone back to the capital. When he left, Leah also came to send him off. She and Ao Shaoan watched Qin Feng leave reluctantly. The two women had the urge to follow Qin Feng to the capital. However, Qin Feng was still unstable, and he still had a lot of things to do. Although Qin Feng could tell what the two women were thinking, he didn't invite them to the capital. Qin Feng felt that it would be safer for the two girls to stay in Hong Kong. The plane landed at the capital airport. Stepping on this familiar land again, Qin Feng felt as if he had been in a different world. Li Xingtian and Qin Wudao felt the same way. The three of them had just come out from the William family's base in America. They had experienced a moment of life and death in a foreign country. Outside the airport, Qin Feng bid farewell to Rao Sherman and Zhang Kuku. The two girls hadn't been back to the capital for a long time, so they wanted to go home first. Ma Xinxin followed Qin Feng. Her home was in Acropolis City. Ma Xinxin would go back to Acropolis City with Qin Feng in a few days. Li Xingtian also left. He took a car to Yan Wushuang's rented villa. Since Li Shanshan was there, Li Xingtian couldn't wait to fly to his daughter's side. Only Qin Feng, Qin Wudao, and Ma Xinxin were left outside the airport. Qin Feng didn't tell anyone about his sudden return. Looking at the familiar streets and environment, Qin Feng and Qin Wudao were stunned. "Wudao, let's go home first," Qin Feng suddenly said to Qin Wudao. Qin Wudao's body trembled. He had long lost the concept of home. The word home seemed to be very far away. However, looking at Qin Feng's determined eyes, Qin Wudao seemed to have found home again. "It's time to go home." Qin Wudao heaved a long sigh. The burden and hatred that had been pressing in his heart for years seemed to have disappeared at this moment. It was a very relaxing feeling. Qin Wudao felt like his body was about to float. "I have something to tell you after we go back." Qin Feng purposely didn't tell Qin Wudao about his grandfather's plan. He wanted to reconcile with Qin Wudao, but he had to do it before Qin Wudao knew the truth. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.